All right. Hello and welcome to another episode of The Panel. And today, me and my co-host Tyler, 138 MMA, we are joined by not two, but three guests for UFC 300, best pay-per-view of all time, best card on paper. Great press conference today. We got $300,000 bonuses going out on Saturday, so a lot to look forward to. And yeah, so today we're joined by Lou Betcha, Desk of Lou Betcha now. We got Uncle Weezy, we got Pepe, and we got my guy Tyler, my co-host. And yeah, I'll pass around the mic real quick. The guys will talk about how they feel about the card, and then we'll jump right into it because we got a lot to talk about. So Lou, how you doing, brother? How you feeling about UFC 300?
Well, there's news that they just upped the performance bonuses to $300,000.
Yep.
So I think these guys will now try. Finally, somebody noticed. There's a gimmick. There's a gimmick tonight, Dixon. Yeah, I think they're going to try really hard now that the bonuses are happening. So I'm excited. I'm more excited.
All right, Weezy, thanks for coming on, brother. How are you feeling about UFC 300?
Great. It's a great card. I mean, top to bottom, fantastic fighters, fantastic matchups. It's hard to even pick some of these money lines because it's hard to bet against so many of these fighters on the card, but we got to do it. We got to find the spots. Looking forward to chopping it up with you guys.
Yes, sir. Pepe, how about you, brother? Thanks for coming on. First time doing the show together. I'm looking forward. How you feeling about the card?
Yeah, glad to pop my Couch Warrior cherry tonight for this big card. Super excited for it. It's going to be a dope card. Hot take alert, there will be finishes.
Hot take. Now there's not going to be a single damn finish, and we know who to blame.
Yeah.
All right, and last but not least, my co-host, Tyler. What's good, brother? How are you? How are you feeling about the card?
Well, a couple of things. First off, I'm going to get a lot of these picks wrong, but we're going to have a lot of fun doing it, and that's what's going to matter. But I've been running hot since 4 this morning, so we're going to have to keep the energy up. If I start to nod off, I'm going to have to be like, look, we got to kick out whoever's making me tired, because if we're having fun, we shouldn't be falling asleep. So if you start to see me nod off, we got to throw out whoever's giving us snooze fest.
All right, guys, you heard it here. Don't put Tyler to sleep or you're out of here.
I feel like this is not a boring panel.
I have a hard time seeing you fall asleep during this, Tyler.
I don't think I will. I think I got this.
All right. Real quick, before we hop in, let's catch up with the chat. We got the Chronic Combat boys telling you to like and subscribe. Make sure you do the same thing for them. Yo, Pepe. Are those
popping is in, bro.
I've already got 2 in.
Nice. I had to show the Zen for Dogfather in the chat.
But he uses the garbage ones. He's over here using cinnamon. Daz, what's good, brother? Who else we got here? Dixon saying Lou or Wolverine. Why not both? Kiarik's my guy. Yeah, Brundage getting that first round knockout. The Dogfather, 4 sharp guys, and the Couch Warrior. You're just repeating my own jokes at this point, my brother. Who else we got? We got Evan in the chat. We got a little bet going between Evan and Pepe that Pepe will talk about maybe a little bit later. Let's see. And that's pretty much it. So let's hop right into the card. So first fight of the card, we've got Deiveson Figueiredo versus Cody Garbrandt. Lou, why don't you start us off?
Honored to start off this card with this fight. I can't get to Figueiredo at this price. I don't think if you're going to play him, I don't think you play his money line. I think he plays in the distance. I know people are talking about how he was very low volume against Font. I think it's just kind of hard to cap that fight because he had fought the same dude for like 2 years of his life at a different weight class. Took a year off. He's like, okay, now I'm up a weight class. Body's different, responds different in the cage. And Font's a dude that throws a ton of volume. That's why Figueiredo went to so many takedowns. I don't think Figueiredo will be low volume here. At the same time, like, is he ever trustable at this price? So I'm never betting this fight. I don't like Figgy at minus 115. I'll say if you like Garbrandt, the decision at over plus 550 is probably odds-wise the play. But I'm happy to pass this. I just don't think Figgy will be so low volume in this fight. Like people are looking at the Font fight, like, oh, well, I only threw 40-some punches. Like, again, like you got to look at the circumstances of new weight class, new opponent for the first time in years. So just can't trust Garbrandt's chin to last 15 minutes. But I think the decision's got good equity.
All right. Makes sense to me. How about you, Weezy?
I got to bet 1 unit on the fight goes to decision here. I got it at plus 150. 40% implied probability. About 51% of bantamweight fights do see the scorecards. And frankly, both of these guys are extremely low volume at distance. I don't think there's going to be much wrestling here. It's a big cage. And both of these guys throw less than 8 distance strike attempts per minute. So I think if you're relying on a KO, man, you might see a lot of stretches where not much happens in this fight. Both these guys are really fast. Both of them are pretty difficult to find at distance. So I decided to kind of play into that and just kind of play into that variance of 40% price tag on the fight goes here against a 51% long-term benchmark and the low volume of both fighters' tendency to like to counter. So I just went with the fight goes here and hoping for the best because Cody's chin, man, you know, I mean, I could look like a real prick about 35 seconds into this fight if Cody winds up sleeping. But, you know, this is the game we play. We're looking at numbers here, not fighters. So, and I played the number.
Do the new bonuses make you any more worried, Weezy?
Yeah, I didn't like it at all, dude. I just fucking heard that today. I'm like, wow, I wish I knew that a few minutes ago, you know, but I made that bet a couple of days ago before I heard that news. Now, I'm not loving that right now, man. That's narrative wise. That'll make you worried about over bets this week.
Yeah, I've got 2 of them and I already want to hedge out, but what are you thinking, Pepe, for this fight?
I play Garbrandt. I think the number is wide. I think he's the more skilled fighter. Figueiredo is, like Weezy was alluding to, he's super low volume. He was kind of like a size bully at 125. He doesn't really have that much of a size edge here. Not that Garbrandt's a huge 135er, but I like Cody way more at 135 than 125. And I think it's like close to a 50-50 fight. I think the chin is overly baked into the price. Figueiredo did his camp in Brazil. That's bearish. His better performance have come off him when he's at fight ready. He wasn't there for this camp. Yeah, I love betting the underdog on the first fight of the card. Last week it was Nora Cornell, similar price. And I'm going with Garbrandt here. I think if it goes the distance, there's a ton of value on Garbrandt. So at plus 260, where I played him at, the number is like around the same right now. Yeah, I think he's the side for sure.
All right. How about you, Tyler?
Well, so this is the only fight on the entire card that I have 0 action on whatsoever. So there we go. Here's the plan, guys. We're going to kick our feet up on the coffee table. We're going to crack open an ice cold root beer, and we're going to toss that thing back and start enjoying the night. That's what we're going to do. We're probably going to start eating some food too, because I mean, that's about the time the food's going to be rolling in. We're going to be having some good time. It's going to be a good fight for that because it's like Weezy was saying, they don't throw a ton of volume typically. So like, you know, if you're just catching this one while you're grabbing some food and you're tossing back some root beers, you're going to have a good time. However, Lou, you can take the roots out. That's okay. But however, if we're having some fun tonight, let's call it wild. We're going to call it wild. We're going to say round 3 knockout Figueiredo, and I think it's going to happen at 3 minutes and 27 seconds into round number 3.
Okay.
Somebody flip that, please.
You heard it here first. If that doesn't happen, Tyler's no longer my co-host. We're going to be hiring somebody else in the future.
There you go. My job's on the line.
Tyler agrees with Tyler. Guru agrees with Luru. Okay.
Fair enough.
Cody 3 point. What's up, CT? Cody 3.5 plus 155. Yeah, that actually doesn't sound bad at all. You need to be sure about his chin. That's the only thing if you're going to be buying in at plus 155 rather than the money line. But yeah, so for me, I guess I'm picking Figgy. I get the argument for Cody 100%. I mean, I thought Figueiredo looked pretty slow at bantamweight against Rob Font. I noticed that the output was kind of whack. And Honestly, off of my memory, I felt like that was a way more dominant performance than it really was. Like I remember him grappling a lot and just dominating him, and that's not really what it looked like when I was watching back the tape. I think that he was able to win the rounds because he was able to hurt Font, which happens to Font all the time, and he was able to get those takedowns. Cody also gets hurt all the time, so there's that. But Cody's got pretty good takedown defense. He hasn't really fought anyone who's coming out there and trying to take him down constantly, but I think it will hold up. I think it will be on the feet for the most part. I think Figgy will land the bigger shots. I think Cody will land more. I think his speed is going to be really significant here. I think the movement will help him a lot. If he comes out here and fights like he did against Trevin Jones, it just doesn't do anything, then he's probably going to lose. But if he comes out here with urgency and throws, I actually do think he's really live. And I might start thinking about a dog shot myself, or maybe that plus 3.5 that CT was talking about. That's something I might look at. But in terms of a prediction, I think Figgy should win. I'm thinking rather than a KO like everybody else, I'm kind of thinking a sub is live, like a club and sub. Hurts Cody. Cody goes for a shot. He locks in that patented guillotine, gets a submission. I think the sub is like plus 550 or something like that last time I looked. I might be off. But, yeah, that's what I'm thinking, and we can move along. Next fight up, we've got Bobby Green versus Jim Miller. Wheezy, why don't you start us off for this one?
Yeah, I've got the Jim Miller finish only prop here. This is one I like because I'm not much of a big believer in the finishing ability of Bobby Green. You know, he's more of a minute winner, and he does it well. You know, he's got a positive 2.3 distance striking differential. He lands almost 7 distance strikes per minute spent at distance range. So he's very busy. He's very accurate. He moves his head well. He's athletic. He's fast. But, you know, at 37 years of age, that's going to be slowing down just a little bit with each fight that goes on. And Jim fucking Miller, this guy seems to be getting younger as he goes on. I mean, like, now he's not facing the best level of competition. The wins aren't really that impressive, but the way he's going about getting them is impressive. Jim fucking Miller, 12 finish wins out of his last 15 wins since 2013. So he's got an 80% finish rate in his wins. While for Bobby Green, it's a little bit under 50% in his wins. And Jim fucking Miller, about a 35% finish rate against, while Green, it's 40%. And Green is coming off a nasty knockout. Probably coming back a little bit too soon. Don't know if they locked up Kerry Hatley and threw away the key yet. But that dude, I don't know. He nearly got that man killed. And maybe there needs to be an investigation of some sort. But I love the finish only prop here. I think I can count on the durability of Jim Miller, and I'm not sure if I could say the same about Bobby Green right now. As far as the money line goes, I'm just kind of staying away from this. The official pick was actually Bobby Green by decision, but I think if there's somebody that gets a finish here, it's probably Miller, and it was plus 100 for the finish only on Miller on DraftKings and on BetRivers, so I thought it was a good play.
All right, makes sense to me. How about you, Pepe?
Yeah, so as me and my friends like to call him Miller, dude is such an alpha. Like, all the narrative shit is just lining up for him so good for this fight. He won at 100, 200, now 300. He's from Sparta, New Jersey. Like, everything is pointing in his direction. Bobby Green coming off a brutal KO. I don't know how I'm going to play the fight. I was leaning overs, but haven't pulled the trigger on anything yet. A little spooked by all the narrative noise with Jim Miller. A finish would make a lot of sense. I might just sit back and watch this one as a fan.
All right, makes sense to me. How about you, Tyler?
Well, so Weezy, let me throw this at you. So you were saying that Kerry Hatley might have had something out for Bobby Green. This might be a little known fact, but from my understanding, Bobby Green owes Kerry Hatley, his old lady, a little bit of money for child support because back in the day they had a bit of a romance, and that's what happened. Kerry Hatley was trying to get that money back. I'm just playing.
I was gonna say, man, how the hell did they let him in the cage to ref the fight?
Dude, was that not
you had me going, man. Man,
was that not believable? If it was anybody other than Bobby Green, you'd be like, no, but it's Bobby Green. You're like, the dude's got like 30 kids, right? But no, I don't think that's true. I think he just was sleeping on the job. But in this one, it's Jim Miller all day. And even if I thought Bobby Green was going to win for any logical reason, I couldn't play him anyway because it just needs to happen. And I was proved wrong by the man Chris Weidman. fairy tales do exist, and you can get a win, even if you've got to do 5 or 6 eye pokes just to get that thing done, because this is what's going to happen. Jim Miller's getting his fairy tale send off. He's getting a win here. Maybe he retires, maybe he doesn't, but either way, he's winning at UFC 300, and I think he's going to get the knockout only a minute and 20 seconds into round number 2, and that's what we're getting.
Okay. I will say it would be pretty damn fitting if Jim pulled up, not only got a win at UFC 300 after winning at 100 and 200, and then locked up the 300K bonus. Be pretty fitting. So
be pretty sick.
Yeah. I mean,
anybody know Gary Hatley's the ref?
I doubt it. I would bet around minus 500 that he's not. I think there's value there. But yeah, for me, I like Bobby Green to win, but I'm not touching this with a 10-foot pole. I would have been betting round 3 decision if like all these narratives weren't here. And I usually don't care about narratives, but I mean, I don't know if you want to call a 4-month ago knockout a narrative. That's just a fact. He died 4 months ago and got the shit beaten out of him. So that's definitely concerning. I don't think Miller is, he's been looking great, but it's against bad competition. The one decent guy, I don't even know if I want to call him decent anymore, but he fought Alexander Hernandez and lost to him. So not a great look, but Bobby's chin is concerning. And, like I just said, I ignore narratives normally, but there's so much here. And I didn't even think of the Sparta, New Jersey thing, but just add that to the list because there's that. So, yeah, I'm staying off of it. Miller getting a knockout, I can see it. I do still think Bobby should win. It would be different if I thought Miller can come out here and wrestle, but he doesn't do that no more. And Green does have really good takedown defense. And I just think Green's a much better striker at range, but if Miller closes the distance, I can see him getting that knockout. I think his combinations have still been looking real crisp, even though he's 40 years old, mixing it up real well. So, yeah, I'll pick Bobby Green, but I'm not touching it. How about you, Lou?
Let me stress, and, Wheezy, I need your back here. 40's not old, son.
Oh,
40's fine.
Yeah, dude, I'd love to be 40 again. That'd be sweet.
The shirt is 40. I have Jim Miller by knockout at plus 575 on Parks. What I will add to this is that if you watch Bobby Green's last few fights, so Turner knocked him out with a right, and I realize it's a very different stylistic fight. He threw like 3 lefts right before he crushed him with the right that wobbled him. Bobby Green is no longer, I don't know if something's wrong with his right eye. He's no longer seeing these punches at all. Dober, the shot that, again, I know it's different stylistically. Dober threw 2 lefts that landed before the big shot. He never moved his hands. It's like he never saw those punches. I'm legitimately wondering if there is something starting to go in his right eye. Well, what's Jim Miller's win condition here? Big left. So at plus 575, very, very worth it for me to land one shot. If this thing hits the 3rd, it's probably Bobby Green up 2-0. And even then, Miller's not drawing dead. He's like, fuck it, I know what I need. So I like Miller to land one big shot here. For 575 for what I feel like is his money line, because I don't see any grappling in this fight. I don't think Miller wants to. And Bobby Green is just going to be like, no, dude, we're trying to get a bonus. Even for this new thing with the new bonuses. This was going to be a stand-up affair. This is just alphas going at it. And I think Miller KOs him. Round 2 seems like a system play, but the way that Bobby Green's not seeing this left, I don't know, man. Might be over before that. So Jim Miller KO is the play for me.
All right. I haven't heard the angle that Bobby's losing his sight yet, but it makes sense.
Look at him. He's not even reacting to lefts at all. Like the Dober one was really bad.
I'm about to go back to the tape after the show and be watching out for the lefts.
I heard Lou say that earlier today. I was listening to your live earlier while I was working. I was doing a little bit of demo work before coming back to the gym. And I heard you say that, and all of a sudden I was thinking, I was like, now that you mention it, I do remember Drew landing those lefts, and he didn't react one bit. And then I looked it up right afterwards. It checks out.
Yeah, once in a while, like I'm the blind squirrel that finds the nut.
It's solid. That's a solid play. I wonder if you can bet. We need what's his face in the chat to give us if you can bet just left hook knockout, because that's probably what it's going to be.
Now, BetMGM only ever does like exact sub props, like Cody by guillotine. Oh, we're not there yet, but
we're not there yet.
Stuff like that.
I actually do want to know what Cody by guillotine will be, but we'll get there.
77-1 on Bet365.
Okay. But all right.
Awesome fight fan bet it already. So
who bet it already?
I think Aussie fight fan bet it already. He's like, you have to. And I'm like, of course.
All right, moving on. Next up, we've got Jessica Andrade versus Marina Rodriguez. Pepe, start us off for this one.
I'm on the Andrade side. I think she's got finish upside in this spot. Everyone is saying, oh, she's not going to grapple. She's not going to grapple. I don't even think she needs to grapple to win this fight. Yeah, her striking defense is abysmal, and she's a bit smaller, but Marina doesn't react well to pressure. She doesn't react well to physical girls, power punchers. I like Andrade to take the front foot and kind of dictate how this fight plays out. Not a huge edge on the line, so it was a small play, but I have her at around -150.
All right. How about you, Tyler?
So this fight is actually going to be buying me lunch on Monday if Rodriguez wins, because what I did, here's how we got it. So we bet Andrade at +100 when she briefly kissed the +100 a while back, and then Rodriguez at +117. What does that mean? That means I'm getting $17 to buy myself lunch on Monday if Rodriguez wins. And if she loses, I don't get lunch on Monday. So that's what we're looking at here. I'll take Rodriguez for the simple fact that I want lunch on Monday, and I think she's going to get it done via decision.
How many cans of tuna does $17 buy these days?
Dude, I wish I could tell you. Tuna's expensive, man. Lentils are way cheaper.
All right. Yeah. So for me, I'm on Andrade too. I actually agree. I don't think she needs to grapple. I think she can stand with Marina. Marina is a fantastic striker, maintains range well, uses the range really well. But I just think that Andrade is going to hit harder. I like how she goes to the body. I think she can match Marina's output, if not go past it. And then there is the grappling, right? If things aren't going her way, I do think she can use it, and I do think she will use it if she needs to. Marina, not much of a ground game. We've seen it at this point time and time again. She is normally getting grappled by, good grapplers like Verna, for example, who's a physical woman, solid jiu-jitsu. But I think that Andrade can do it too. She might not be big, but she's strong. She's physical. And I think she should win this fight. Maybe a late finish, maybe a decision. I don't want to call any more decisions now with the $300,000 bonuses, but definitely leaning Andrade's way. With the line where it is now, I wouldn't play it, but I wouldn't play the dog either. It's kind of just favored or passed for me. How about you, Lou?
Andrade hasn't even attempted more than one takedown in 3 years in a fight. So thinking that she's going to grapple and exploit Marina Rodriguez not defending takedowns, I feel like is a fool's errand. So you have to rate this who wins in a striking battle. And I just feel like Andrade has the optics and wins the minutes. The only way that I think she loses this fight is if she decides to get in the clinch with Marina and make it ugly, because Marina's clinch is nasty. I think she can land a lot of elbows on Andrade. But if Andrade kind of just rushes in, lands strikes, she's going to have the more effective shots. She's going to win the moments. I think there's going to be fine margins in this fight. But Andrade's going to have the crowd behind her too. So, we have a lot of fights in this card where optics are going to matter. I don't think this is a runaway for either fighter, but I think Andrade is going to land what looks like the bigger blows and steal rounds that way, as long as she stays out of the clinch. That's Marina Rodriguez's path to victory. Get her in the clinch and just light her up with knees, light her up with elbows. If you look at Andrade's losing streak, by the way, these were all fights 2 months after the other. And I'm looking at this and she didn't look right. She didn't look like she was going through full camps. Just wasn't her head in the game. So okay, she lost 3 fights in a row. Yeah, not a great look, but then she took time off, came out against Dern like just a woman. Andrade. I'm thinking of the wrestler. I don't know. Lots of I have many interests, but I don't know. I guess that's why I'm saying it. But if she stays out of the clinch, I think it's Andrade's fight to win. And I even think the price is reasonable. I don't think it's wide at all. I think this is probably where it should be. Her is a slight favorite.
Yeah, only thing I'll say is, it didn't really make sense for her to grapple in a lot of these fights. I think that's why she hasn't really done it. I mean, looking at it now, Dern, Suarez, Blanchfield, Yan Jianan was 2 minutes long, beat the shit out of Lauren Murphy, submitted Amanda Lem motion 3 minutes. Calvillo beat the shit out of her. She hasn't really had to grapple, or it wasn't in her best interest to grapple. So that's the only thing I'll mention. But what are you thinking, Weezy?
I don't really care who wins this fight, but I like fight doesn't start round 3 here. These ladies have finished inside the distance in 29 combined fights that were scheduled for 3 rounds, 14 of 29 times, or 48%. But all 14 of those finishes come in round 1 or 2, whether it's Rodriguez or whether it's Andrade. And even you could think of a couple of fights with Andrade. I mean, she beat 7 shades of shit out of Lauren Murphy for 15 minutes. What'd she land? Like almost 300 significant strikes there or some shit. You know, that should have been stopped probably several times. Jessica brings chaos, and 12 of her 20 fights that were scheduled for 3 rounds have finished in round 1 or 2. She brings the style of fight where she was going to try to finish you, and if she doesn't, she checks out, man. Jessica Andrade gets finished all the time. So instead of paying plus 110 for the fight doesn't go to decision, leave round 3 out of it, because neither one of them has ever been finished or gotten a finish in round 3 of a 3-round fight. So plus 165, 10% cheaper on the implied probability is the way to play this at plus 165 right now on DraftKings.
All right. Makes a lot of sense to me. I definitely think we're going to see a lot of violence in this fight and probably every single fight. But moving on, we've got Jalen Turner versus Renato Moicano. Tyler, your turn, my brother.
So this one is a tricky one for me because I picked Jalen Turner to win, and I do think he probably wins more often than not. But the only bet I have on this fight is Renato Moicano by sub, because I like the line, and I think it's definitely a pretty good path to victory for him. If he gets the fight to the mat, Jalen Turner's going to have to try to get back to his feet. He can't just lay there the whole time. And when he does that, I think he's going to give up the back. And when he does that, I think it's over for him. However, what I think is more likely is that Jalen Turner knocks him out probably, 3 or 4 minutes into the first round. We're going to say 3 minutes and 42 seconds into the first round. Jalen Turner's going to knock him out, or TKO, one of the two. And I think Turner's probably going to get the win. Get a bonus, a $300K bonus, and Moicano is going to want some money, and unfortunately he ain't going to get it, so that's a shame.
All right. Yeah, I mean, if we were just doing Tapology picks, yeah, I'd fill in Jalen Turner, but in terms of like betting, I like Moicano here. I think the line is off. I don't necessarily think he's going to get sparked. I know everyone's looking at the Drew Dober fight, seeing him take the damage, thinking he was fighting boring, whatnot. Look, the way I see it is A, Turner slows down quite a bit. B, Turner has always been quite hittable, like in a lot of his fights, and it hasn't really changed much. Like I always think back to the Brock Weaver fight, and I think Brock Weaver is like one of the worst to ever do it, and he was landing so much on Jalen Turner, and that's hard to get out of my head, and it hasn't really changed much after that. His takedown defense is real good, but like Garbrandt doesn't have good control. Moicano might not have the wrestling of Garbrandt, but I think his control is much better. I think his jiu-jitsu is much better. We did see Dan Hooker take Jalen's back. Granted, Hooker was kind of beating him up on the feet, so it makes a little sense. But I don't see why Moicano can't compete on the feet. I think he's a good striker in his own right. Use those leg kicks like you did against Calvin Kattar. Mix in your grappling. I think he'll have the better gas tank. And I don't see why he can't finish Turner late with the sub. So I'm in terms of a bet, I think Moicano's the side, especially if you got like plus 200 or so. How about you, Lou?
Yeah, no. I like Turner round 1, round 2, minus 115. All his finishes are round 1, round 2. I don't like the short turnaround here from Moicano. This just reeks of cash grab, to be completely honest. No criticism. Like, I'd want a cash grab on this card, too. I just don't think he's going to be able to do anything grappling-wise. I never liked the Moicano's entries. Like, if he gets top control, that's a different story, but I just don't think he's going to really be able to get in close enough and do any damage to Turner. I think Turner's going to have the knees are going to be there all day. I just think this is going to get super, super ugly, super, super quick. And I think, maybe full camp or like, weeks and weeks and weeks of prep and a 6 months difference from his last fight. That's fine. I mean, that Dober fight was close margins. And Moicano, in all fairness, won that fight because Dober slipped in the 3rd round. Like, not to sound whatever, but Dober kind of gave away. He kind of gave away the 3rd round. So I think, we're not making that fight right now if that doesn't happen. I know people love Moicano. I know Pepe. No, John Kelly doesn't. Which one of you two is like, spoiler, like, I'm not amused by him. Yeah, I mean, he's whatever. Lou hates gimmicks. It's detestable when somebody has a gimmick, when they do
as he touches his beard.
Testable. Lou doesn't end the third person. I hate that too. But I just think this is Turner's fight to just batter him. And the line is wide because of the Bobby Green fight, but Turner is a rightful favorite here. And I mean, I just, it's going to happen in the first, what do you say, what, Ty? 6 minutes, 7 minutes?
What did I say? 3 minutes and something seconds. I can't remember now. Somebody got clip it.
Yeah, it sounds about right. So I think Turner round 1, round 2, minus 115 is a solid price. Way to get the money line down.
All right.
If you can't tell, Lou, I'm just like pulling these out of my ass. Like I'm not really, these aren't like based off much. The time props anyway.
You don't have it written down on your whiteboard?
No. Well, if I do, it's at home. So I don't know. I can't see it.
Disappointing. But all right. Wheezy, how about you, brother? You're muted.
I think Jalen Turner knocks him out, but God, I hate the fucking price. I mean, minus 121 for a KO prop. That's terrible. Extremely overpriced. But the funny thing is that Jalen Turner's got 7 3-round wins. They're all finishes. Moicano, 3 3-round losses. He lost all of them inside the distance. So, like, if you look at prior performance, 100% of Jalen Turner's win condition is inside the distance. This guy's never won a decision in his career. Now, he could have won a couple. You know, he could have won that Garbrandt decision. He could have won the Hooker decision. You know, he's been in some close fights, but he's just not getting any love from the judges. The way I played this one was I took a quarter unit shot on Jalen Turner by sub at plus 850. Jalen Turner has got 3 of his 7 wins are by sub in the UFC. And Moicano's been finished by submission once in his 3 losses. And it's a club and sub that you're looking for here. I mean, like, Turner can hurt anyone on the feet. And then when he hurts somebody, they might panic wrestle. And that might be something that Moicano does. He might walk right into a choke when he's already hurt. I could see, you know, a sub happening here. The most likely possibility is that Jalen Turner finishes him via KO. But another thing I like here, too, is Moicano by decision is plus 525. And God damn, if Jalen Turner doesn't give up a ton of minutes defensively with his grappling all the time. And it's when you're trying to take guys down with single and double legs, when you're going against a tall opponent, it's very difficult. The best way to do it is with like judo takedowns and body lock trips, because if you get the leverage right and the technique right on your inside trips, if you inside trip towards the overhook side, you know, if you do the right things, you can get those kind of takedowns. And when you get those kind of takedowns, you can stay on top and win minutes. So I think Moicano's path to victory will be similar as it was in the Dober fight, and the similar path of loss that we saw when Jalen Turner fought the Polish guy Garbrandt, and when he fought Matt Frevola back in the day. So I think Moicano by decision at plus 525 and Jalen Turner by submission at plus 850 on Bet Rivers Sportsbook are a couple of cheeky ways to play this fight where you don't have to get too deep invested into who's going to finish or how they're going to win the fight.
Yeah, I just thought of this, but I know DraftKings does like a double chance for both fighters, right? Like Turner by knockout, Moicano by decision. Wonder what that is. That could be interesting, but probably not plus money. I'm not sure. Or Turner sub Moicano decision. That'll definitely be plus money. But how about you, Pepe?
So for a little bit, I was debating on whether I was going to parlay Turner, because ultimately I do give him a lot of win percentage in this matchup. I just think stylistically, I don't like Moicano's entries. I think he should be able to fend off the takedowns. And on the feet, I don't think it's that close. And Moicano has been fragile throughout his career. He hasn't gotten knocked out in a little bit, but, you know, he was rocked multiple times against RDA and Dober. So, yeah, I favor Turner quite a bit. I was debating on the under 1.5, but it could be frustrating if Moicano does end up getting him down and Turner just concedes a lot of minutes on bottom. So ultimately I end up passing completely, but I think it's lined accurately.
All right. Makes sense to me. And we can move on Next up, we've got a big fight because one of these fellas has a big side bet on this one. We've got Sadiq Yusuf versus Diego Lopes. I'll start us off for this one. So I'm going with Yusuf. I'm going with the dog. I understand why everybody likes Lopes, but if I hear one more person say it's his aura, I'm going to put my head through a wall. Auras don't win fights, guys. Like, for the love of God, like, what the fuck kind of way of breaking down a fight is that? And I've heard more than one capper say it. So, like, I'm not just making this shit up. But yeah, look, I get it. Lopes is a good finisher. He's extremely dangerous on the feet or on the ground. And Yusuf does get hurt a lot. I noticed that too on the tape. He does get hurt a lot. And I totally understand. I just don't think it's likely Lopes knocks him out. And Lopes doesn't really offensively grapple. He hasn't shot a single takedown in the UFC or hasn't gotten one. I don't remember if he's actually tried. But he's not really getting these takedowns in the UFC. Outside of the UFC, he does it. He did it in the Nate Richardson fight. But I just think Yusuf's takedown defense is good enough to keep him on the feet. And usually, at least in the UFC, Lopes is getting to the ground because his opponents are taking it there. And I don't think Yusuf is going to do that. I think he's a smart fighter. I think he's a significantly better striker. I think Lopes is a walking, talking punching bag, and I think Yusuf can tee off on him. So, yeah, at dog odds, I think it's pretty clear it's a Yusuf spot, but I get it either way. I don't see why why Yusuf can't really do what Richardson did, just do it better. Like, defend the takedowns. If you get taken down, defend the submissions, and on the feet, beat the crap out of the guy. And I wouldn't be shocked if Lopes slows down a bit and then Yusuf could get some top time without getting subbed. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. But how about you, Lou?
Well, the line is like the epitome of recency bias. I mean, and I should just anything I say take with a grain of salt because I'm like 0 for Lopes. Like, I had a bet with Sabatini. I had a bet with Gavin Tucker. Like, I've just been fading this dude, and it's like my Parker Porker round 2 sub. I'm just gonna keep betting it until it works. I like Yusuf here. I think if this thing gets extended, if it's a decision, it means Yusuf kept it clean. He's the cleaner striker. He's got better range management. To your point, Mike, you mentioned, like, how does Lopes get these subs? It's because he's on the ground already and, like, just throwing up stuff. I see a world where Yusuf goes for takedowns near the end of rounds just to kind of seal them. He's smart enough to stay safe. I don't see him getting caught in like a meme sub. But I mean, I don't want to like mention minute winning because minute winning doesn't exist anymore in the state of judging. It's moment winning is all that really matters. But Yusuf's a moment winner too. Like, he can land big shots. I think he's just going to be clean. I think he can just stay in and out of range, not really get hot. Like, Lopes is there to be hit, and he just starts swinging wild bombs when it's not going his way. So I like Yusuf's decision. I think he probably picks him apart. It's only like plus 270 range. I don't really want to get there. Don't get greedy here. Yusuf's already plus money. I like it as is.
All right. How about you, Weezy?
So as much as I don't like the Figueiredo Garbrandt goes to decision bet now because of the raise and the bonuses, I like this one so much better because I've got fight doesn't start round 2 for this fight. And 10 combined fights for Yusuf and Lopes at the UFC level. There have been 5 finishes, all 5 of them in round number 1. So these guys are both front loaded. Obviously, somebody like Lopes, who's such a brilliant submission grappler, is going to do best when both people are dry. And, you know, that always comes early in fights for the most part. And Sadiq Yusuf almost just knocked out Edson Barbosa in round 1. And if he could do that to Barbosa, and what was great about what he did to Barbosa was he kind of fought him the same way Gaethje did. He just said, you know what? Barbosa's got great kicks. So what do you do to a great kicker? You crowd him, you pressure him, you walk forward. And that's exactly what Sadiq did in round number 1. And then after that, it kind of all fell apart like a Chinese motorcycle. I don't know what happened, but this is a 3-round fight. This is not a 5-round fight. So I think that either Sadiq's going to knock this fool out in the first round or Lopes is going to find some kind of a crazy submission. But either way, I think somebody gets served early, plus 230 for fight doesn't start round 2. And it encapsulates both of these guys, whatever their finish condition is, it's always come in round 1 thus far in the UFC. And we've seen other spots where they were close to finishing in round 1 as well. So love that at plus 230 right now for fight doesn't start round 2. I think it's a way to play this violent fight, but I think I'm also going to get to a Sadiq Yusuf money line bet. I think he's a much better fighter than Diego Lopes.
All right, let's go 3 for 3 then on the Yusuf side. Pepe, how about you? I mean, I already know what side you're on.
Yeah, bro. I'm on Yusuf here, and I have a side bet with my co-host. Loser of the bet has to get Diego Lopes's tattoo that he has across his chest. Dream it, believe it, and make it happen somewhere on their body. So I'm really hoping Yusuf pulls through, but I do agree with Lou. I do think there's a fair bit of recency bias with this fight. I think it's a good buy low spot on Sadiq. Lopes has poor striking defense, like compared to the people that Yusuf has been fighting. Lopes is going to be a lot easier to hit. I think the leg kicks are going to be big. So also I do like that shout on the under. I don't know if I'll get there, but Yusuf money line and under are the side for me.
All right, 4 for 4, Tyler.
I'm going to take Diego Lopes because of his aura.
Out of here now. Where's the nearest wall?
I'm just playing. I am going to take him though, because so I'm not on very many favorites on this card. The one I'm on, none of you are on, so this is wild. It's not the only favorite I'm on, but one of the few. I think I'm gonna take him by sub. I don't think he necessarily has to get the fight to the ground to get the submission. I know that sounds silly. He's not gonna get like a standing arm triangle, but I think he can like take the back from a standing position in, if they get in tight, grab the clinch, work his way to the back, just kind of do the little duck under the arm, get around, whatever you got to do. I think he's gonna get the sub. So I threw like, I was like 0.1 or 0.2 units on Diego Lopes by sub. One thing, I got this lesson from a friend of mine who speaks both Spanish and Portuguese. If they're a Portuguese speaker, like, someone from Brazil, typically it's like, instead of like Gomez or Lopez, it's Lopes or Gomes. So that's the difference that you get there and since I know he lives in Mexico, but I'm pretty sure Diego is from Brazil. So I believe it's Lopes, but I could be wrong. I'm just throwing that out there.
Tyler, pack it up and go to the showers. All right, we can move on. We can move on from the aura of Diego Lopes. Next up, we've got Holly Holm versus Kayla Harrison. Lou, you've got the pleasure of starting this one off.
All right, so I know a lot of people are on the home side, and I know a lot of people are on the over, and I think you're all on the drugs because I just can't bet a 42-year-old unless their name is Matt Brown. And I just think that either Harrison's going to get takedowns and dominate, or she's going to get Holm up against the cage, and it's just going to be a lot of cage control, eating up minutes. There's something very important here that I haven't really heard people talk about that she couldn't do in the PFL that she can do now. She can throw some fucking elbows. And I think she's going to wail on Holly Holm. I think the KO is live. People are, the Aspen Ladd fight sold me that. Dude, Aspen Ladd, like, weirdly survives a lot of fights. Like, she's terrible, but, like, I don't know. It's weird. I think it's, like, all the abuse she's taken from her coach / dad / boyfriend / uncle. I'm not really sure of all the slashes, but I think that just toughened her up where she's like, I'm never getting finished. So I don't really put that, But, I mean, like, Holly Holm is not going to have a physicality advantage here. She's not going to be bigger. And I kind of think it's a donation to bet her. If anybody on this panel is betting her, sorry, not sorry. Like, I just think Harrison's going to mow through her. And she's one win away from a title shot. If she wins, she is getting a title shot. And that's just all there is to it. She wins by 30-27. She gets a title shot. She wins by finish. She might get a title shot later on the card. Like, they just want to get her a title shot.
What do you say, boys? You down for this at the end of the panel?
Let's do it.
I guess.
All right, Dixon, just to remind me, because it's likely I'll be done with about 4 White Claws by the time the show's over, so I might not remember, but I'm very down for that. Wheezy, what are you thinking, brother?
I don't have any action on this fight yet. I think Kayla's going to win, but I think pre-flop, the only smart play before you see Kayla on the scales is just sprinkle the whole money line because so much could go wrong here. You know, there's a lot of unanswered questions about Kayla in terms of how she's going to perform at 136 pounds. I mean, like, it's a big difference. It's a huge change for her. She's never competed at this weight, never even close to it. So Holly Holm's much more experienced. She's fought the much better brand of competition. She's the better striker. So I think there's a lot of things to like on the Holm side here pre-flop. But if Kayla comes in and is one of the first to weigh in at 136 and she flexes and looks bigger than most of the dudes that are fighting at that weight, I think, oh boy, her wrestling's good. Her judo's even better. And when she gets on top, she doesn't just waste time and grind it out there. She kills you. And now she can throw elbows, like Lou said. So, I mean, I think Kayla's probably going to shave her ass. I think that's probably what's going to happen. But pre-flop, pre-seeing her on the scale, seeing how she performs at 136, I think there's a lot of questions here. I'm just staying away. I'm going to enjoy this. I'm a Kayla Harrison fan, and I'm looking to see how she performs in her UFC debut.
All right. How about you, Pepe?
Yeah, I play in Harrison ITD. I think she's coming here to make a statement. She knows with an early finish, she'll get a title shot. She even made mention in an interview that she's going to be raining elbows down. So Holm is just so bad on bottom. I think Harrison will be able to get her down. She's going to have a huge physicality edge. 9 years younger. Holm, 42 years old. Like, I think it's just like a perfect matchup for Harrison to get like a round 1 or round 2 finish. So I'm kind of going with the narrative like that. And like, she is a beast on top. So like in the PFL, you had to pay like minus 360, to get Harrison ITD, sometimes even more. So now we're getting plus 130. I think that's solid. I think the finish comes within rounds 1 or 2.
All right, Tyler, I know what side you're on. Why don't you talk about it a little bit?
All right. So here's the deal. I really only need Holly to win 1 round and survive the rest of the fight. That's what I need. And I think she can win round 3. And the reason why is because I think that Kayla Harrison's going to try to get her out of there early. And I think Holly Holm's going to be able to survive. I think. And I don't like to say I think because that sounds stupid. It sounds like I don't know what I'm talking about. But honestly, I'm picking a massive underdog here. So like maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. I think Holly Holm can get this done. She has the skill set. It's just, can she bring it to the table? We haven't seen it in a while. She's been doing a lot more clinching and cage pushing. That's why everybody thinks that she just can't strike anymore. But she is the better striker here. She is. And I don't like, if you put those two in there and you said, okay, we're going to have a kickboxing match, Holly Holm's the massive favorite, even at her age. And I'm not, obviously this isn't a kickboxing match, but I'm saying she is the better striker. So if she can use anything to keep this at striking range, she should be winning minutes. And I understand, like Lou said, that minute winning doesn't matter as much, but I just need her to win a round, guys. I need her to win a round and survive. Also, I do happen to have like a super long shot championship future on Holly Holm because, I'm a degenerate. And so that would also play into that. So I would like to see Holly Holm win. I know she has the skills, and something that I really like is that she brought in Chris Cyborg for this camp, and not because Cyborg is a similar style to Harrison. That's not the case at all. But what I really like is that for Holly Holm to be working with one of the best women's fighters in the world ever, Chris Cyborg. Yes, she lost to Amanda Nunes, all that good stuff, but the point is she's still one of the best ever, and she's an aggressive fighter, an extremely aggressive fighter that I think can, at least if nothing else, emulate the physicality of Kayla Harrison, because Cyborg's a very, very thick woman. And she's built like a brick house. Let's put it that way. So get those rounds in with Cyborg. I think that is going to help her. And I believe she can at least win a round, but I think she can also pull it off. And it might not be as pretty as everybody's talking about the Rousey knockout or whatever. It won't be like that probably. I think she can do it. I'm going to take Holly Holm, and if I get it wrong, whatever, none of this matters anyway.
Yeah. For me, look, I think Holm's pretty live, not going to lie. But rather than play the money line, like if you think Holm is live, I think you just play the overs, just play the fight goes. Because I think it's highly unlikely she knocks out Harrison like she did Ronda Rousey. I understand the narratives there. I just don't think that's going to happen. Like, let's be real here. She's 42. But, I do think she's live. I think she's a good striker still, much lower output. Yes, but I don't really rate Harrison striking all that much. I think she's pretty damn hittable. I don't think we're going to be on the feet much, or I think we're not going to be at range much. I think that's a better way to put it. We're going to be up against the fence a lot. We're going to be down on the ground a lot. I just think we're going to go over. I don't really think Harrison finishes her. If she does, I don't think it's a submission. I actually agree. I think Pepe said it. I think it's going to be a knockout, something like that. I don't hate that look at all. But I personally think we're probably going to go over. I just think it's going to be a clinch fest. I'm sure Harrison wants the bonus. I'm sure everybody wants this new $300,000 bonus, but wanting it isn't always going to be enough. I think just stylistically, this fight screams over, and I'm really surprised at the odds. Like, when do you get a women's MMA fight, regardless of the weight class, and over at -1? I mean, fight goes at -130 or over at -150. It's very rare, except unless you have, like, I don't know, who's a crazy women's finisher.
I had the over on Rose against Rebus, but that was 5 rounds, and the over on Blanchfield versus Figueiredo.
I had both of those also.
Yeah, but those were 5 rounds, so But how often do late finishes really happen in WMMA? Those were crazy lines, but yeah, I think it's the grappling disparity is too big for me personally.
Mike, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
I know Pepe and I agree with this. Do you think that Harrison could dream it, believe it, and make it happen?
I mean, she probably will, man. And then she's going to be fighting Pennington in a few months, and we're all going to have the pleasure of watching that banger. So yeah, she can make it happen.
Right now.
Yeah, they want to do a Nunez versus Harrison super fight. So I think they're just throwing her a softball here, and then eventually set up that fight. That's from a bit of a matchmaking perspective.
You think they can get Nunez back?
Yeah. If Harrison wins the title, I think if the money is right, she will come back for sure. She already teased it a little bit.
Okay. All right. Makes sense to me. We can move on, though. We got better fights to talk about. Next up, we got Calvin Kattar versus Aljamain Sterling. Wheezy, start us off, brother. You're muted again.
What a rookie.
Yeah, pipe down, Lou. So I've got nothing for this fight. But the analytics do like fight doesn't go to decision at +155. The under 2.5 at +170 or 175, and it also likes Calvin Kattar by knockout at +500 or better. Those are the spots where the analytics think that the betting lines are a little bit underpriced, but I mean, there's just a lot of questions here that are unanswered for me, so I'm just not going to bet it. Kattar coming off a long way off after a knee injury. Aljamain Sterling looking like he's completely checked out to me personally. Up a weight class, going to be much smaller here. So I'm just going to sit back and watch this one. I got no action on it, but analytics like a little bit of violence.
All right. I mean, I think at this point, everybody likes violence, but how about you, Pepe?
Yeah. For this one, I like Aljo by submission at +450. If he's going to be covering his -170 line, he's going to get the grappling going, in my opinion. And getting +450 on an Aljamain Sterling submission prop is pretty solid, in my opinion. Fading the 36-year-old coming off the ACL injury, trains at New England Cartel, one of the worst grappling gyms there are. Traditional boxer. I think +450 is a really solid line. I also like the under. I might add that as well. I think the number is a little bit too big on that. If Aljo doesn't get his game going, I think the fight is binary enough that, like, if one of them are getting their game going, then the under is going to look like huge value, in my opinion. I think it should be closer to like pick 'em. So I think it's pretty crazy to get what it's at right now.
For the under 2.5, I had 170 and 175.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
All right. How about you, Tyler?
So with this one, so up until I was recording my videos Monday night to put together into the full card breakdown, I was on Sterling all week, last week, all that stuff. And then I'm writing the stuff up on the marker board. I'm putting it all up there and I'm writing it down and I go, I don't know how he's going to look if he starts getting cracked early and has to start and needs a takedown rather than then like he's able to get takedowns, and his takedown percentages aren't the best. I understand that Kattar's a boxer. His takedown defenses look good on like statistics, but like we haven't seen it really tested by somebody like Sterling. I don't know. I'm thinking maybe Kattar starts landing some shots on him early, and I think he can crack him. So I'm gonna take Kattar. I don't have any confidence in it, but he's also the underdog, and I'm an idiot, and I picked like mostly underdogs on this card. I think I got like 8 of them. So we're gonna take Kattar, and I'm not confident in it whatsoever. Least confident pick on the card. And that's also, I also picked Holm. So there you go.
I mean, dude, if there's any card where 8 underdogs are going to hit, it would be this one.
Hope so.
And I kind of agree with you. I like the underdog here. I think it's dog or pass. I haven't played it yet. I'm going to let the odds play out because there's too many questions for me. Because like, I think Kattar sparks Sterling on the feet, but here's the thing. You kind of touched on it, Tyler. Kattar's takedown defense numbers look fantastic, but he hasn't fought he's fought good grapplers, but they're not shooting on him when he is. Like Andre Fili didn't really shoot. I think Kattar was the one who got takedowns there. That was his debut. Renato Moicano didn't shoot a single time when they fought. And he hasn't really fought anyone else who was shooting on him. It just hasn't happened. So I can't like comfortably say like Kattar for sure because I don't know. He might look fantastic. Maybe he keeps his back to the fence, has the hand control, keeps it on the feet. But it's also entirely possible that he can't handle it and Sterling can backpack him, Recently, I've been preaching this. This is why I bet Almeida last week over Buka. Damage over control. The judges have really changed their tune. But I think it's a little bit different when you have the backpack because then you're actually threatening submissions. You actually have a dominant position. You're not just laying on the guy. So I do think Sterling can still win minutes without, necessarily getting a finish. But if he doesn't, I don't like Sterling striking. I don't really know if anybody really likes Sterling striking. He's good at throwing volume. But other than that, not really that great of a striker. Kattar's a fantastic striker. He's a fantastic boxer. Sterling has not felt 145 or power yet. All the guys he's beating also, they're all so much smaller than him, other than like Corey Sandhagen, who's a lanky little noodle. But everybody else is very small. Peter Yan, my guy, he's teensy. Cejudo, tiny. He's not really beating, like he hasn't fought anyone like this. So for me, there's a lot of questions. I don't know how you can get to a Sterling money line play at these odds. I think that's kind of crazy. He does look jacked. He looks like he really bulked up, but I don't know. For me, I definitely lean the underdog. If he can get the takedown defense going, I think it's a comfortable fight for him. If not, he's fucked, but it's hard to know without having more information on his grappling. So right now I'm staying off, but I'll go with Kattar. How about you, Lou?
Yeah, if I'm going to have a fight, I don't bet it's going to be this one. But also, I'm probably betting every fight because I feel like being reckless. And if I was going to make a bet here, I'll take the plus money on the under. I agree with what a lot of Pepe said and what Weezy said. And that it's funny because I think the winner is going to look minus 400 within the first 2 minutes of this fight. I think you'll know if you won this bet or not pretty quickly. What I worry about with Sterling is that what makes him so good is his speed in just getting to the back like the Flash. Like the dude's so fast. And you look at the guys that have tried to take down Kattar, like Danny Gay, all of his takedown attempts were like just double legs. Emmett, who's not historically like a proactive grappler. Nobody was like really trying to work for anything more than just double legs. Sterling like is using his striking to just get behind you, even on the feet, and then get the takedown and go to work. There's so many unknowns here. Like we don't know what Kattar's leg's going to look like. For me, the big unknown with Sterling isn't even just how's his power going to look or how's he going to take shots at 145. Is the dude going to have the same speed? Is he going to be able to like just immediately fly to somebody's back? Because we just don't know. So like much to the point like Pepe made, like if Kattar's win condition, if Kattar's getting his game off, he's landing everything and he's hurting Sterling, who did get knocked out recently. And if Sterling's getting his game off, we've never seen Kattar defend when somebody's got his back. We're just seeing him defend takedowns, but we don't know what his submission defense is like fending off chokes. So I'm going to play the under here. The number is huge. I mean, I get why, but the number is huge because Kattar is like going to decision with really, really good guys in the division. But there are guys that are trying to outstrike them. They aren't guys that are trying to sub them. So I think at plus 175 for the under, that's a good look.
I like what you said about the speed because I mentioned it in the first fight of the night when Figgy came up to 135. He looked a lot slower, in my opinion. I don't know what you guys think, but he looked a lot slower. So yeah, that also makes sense. Maybe Sterling's not as quick as he used to be. Another question mark. But we can move on. Next up, we've got Yuri Prochazka versus Alexander Rakic, still on the prelims, which is just bananas. But Pepe, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, I don't have a play here, so I'll keep it short. I do favor Yuri. I might get to a play on him, just because I like the unexpected chaos and violence that he brings into fights. It's really hard to quantify. Like the guy blocks punches with his head. It's easy to take him down. He doesn't defend leg kicks well. Makes sense that Rakic should be able to expose those things, but Rakic needs like a perfect fight in order to get his game off. He's been rocked before, like the Devin Clark fight. He hasn't fought a striker as dangerous as Yuri. So coming back from a long layoff, coming back from an injury, I think Yuri's a difficult fight for him. Usually people, when they have a long layoff, they like to settle into fights, and Yuri doesn't really let you do that. So I like Yuri by knockout.
All right. How about you, Tyler?
Yeah, same. I think Yuri gets this one done by knockout. I think he's going to do it probably relatively early. And the reason why, well, okay, here's the thing. I don't even like Yuri. His whole phony samurai thing drives me crazy. I think he's a doofus. I cannot stand him.
Yo, that promo was sick, though. That promo was sick.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. If he was a real samurai, he'd have cut his own insides out by now because he's already lost. You know what I mean? That's how that works. Seppuku or whatever it's called. Dude shouldn't be around no more. So, but I don't know. I do think he wins this fight. I think it's because a couple of things. First off, Rakic already isn't the highest output kind of guy, and he isn't going to like it so much when he's got Yuri up in his. Das made me laugh. So he's not going to like it when Yuri's up in his face, just spinning with elbows, throwing crazy stuff at him. He's not going to like that already. Couple that with coming off this big injury. You know, he's been out for, I mean, I think his last fight was potentially before I even started my channel, which is a while ago. Maybe not quite.
Your channel 2 years ago?
My channel, gosh, when was his last fight? My channel would be 2 years old.
1 year and 10 months.
A year and 10 months? It's close then. Yeah, like real close. So, but yeah, so it was a little bit, his last fight was a little before my channel. So anyway, point is, like, it's been a long time. And I think Yuri's not the kind of guy you want to come back to because his style's so chaotic. He's not somebody that you can really plan for. I talked about it a little bit with Effie last night when we were doing our PFL live stream. We kind of got off on some stuff at the end. And those guys with that weird style like that, even if you're more skilled than them, they're hard to prepare for, and they're hard to it's hard to really, they're unpredictable. So when you're getting back in there for the first time, you're having live rounds at 100%, not like in camp or like, you know, when you're sparring and stuff, you're doing, 50, 60%, 100%, and things are getting a little wild and you haven't experienced this in darn near 2 years. It's a little bit different. And I think Yuri's a tough fight for him coming back. If Yuri loses, I won't be mad because, like, he's still annoying. But I'm taking Yuri to get this one done. He's probably going to knock him out at some point, probably early. We'll say 1 minute and 12 seconds into the fight.
Yo, someone in the chat, please write these time predictions down. I need to know how it works out for Tyler.
If any of them hit, I need to clip it and put it up on my Instagram because I don't post anything on Instagram ever because I never know what to post. But this would be a thing.
Another thing about this fight is Rakic doesn't have a lot of big fights on huge stages like Yuri does. So Yuri is used to the pressure. I don't think the crowd is really going to get to him, whereas Rakic hasn't fought in front of a big crowd in quite some time. And I think he only has like a couple fights in front of a rowdy crowd. So this is going to be the biggest fight of his career. And for Yuri, it's just another fight.
Especially a rowdy crowd when he's trying to stand there and not do anything to stay at range.
Oh, yeah. They're going to boo the hell out of him.
So bad.
Yeah, it's like really crazy. This is literally Yuri's 5th fight in the UFC. It's only his 5th fight, and 2 of them were for titles. Like, the dude's barely even been here, and he's already had more big fights than Rakic has. And yeah, I like Yuri as well. I think the most interesting thing, like bet for me at least, is the finish only for Yuri. It was minus 135 on DraftKings yesterday, I believe. I think that's a good look because would I be shocked if Rakic could just like out grapple him and slow him down? No, I wouldn't be. But I would be more shocked if Rakic finished him because I know Yuri is extremely hittable and I know he's relatively chinny, but I think his recovery is really good. I mean, Dominic Reyes knocked him out with an up kick. He literally knocked him out. Yuri said it himself. He said, I went out. And then he fell on top of him and woke up and then just starts beating on him again. The recovery is there. He's getting hurt, sure. I think even the Pereira finish, I think that was early, personally. Thought that was an early stoppage. And Rakic has a ton of power, but he doesn't fight with a lot of urgency. His last finish was who? Jimmy Manoa? Yeah. And then before that, it was Devin Clark. I think those are his only UFC finishes.
What, 5 years ago or something?
Manoa was 4 years, 3 months, 4 years, 10 months. And then Clark, I'm not sure. But yeah, so I just think that Yuri's going to finish him. I think Yuri's too much. He's just too strange. The way he fights is so weird. I don't know how you prepare for him. Like, who do you bring in for your camp to fight like Yuri? Like, I don't even know where you start. So Rakic is cleaner, in my opinion. I think his technique is cleaner, but his output is shit. I don't trust him much. He's been out for a minute, and I just think Yuri's going to get it done. Yuri's got the aura, you know what I'm saying? So, and Rakic has negative aura. So, yeah, I like Yuri here. I think it's going to be a finish. How about you, Lou?
Yeah, and Ty, you want to say that to Jerry's face? That like
I do.
He's not a real. He's my ninja. I know that much. What does a Rakic win look like? It looks like a clean fight, a perfect fight, a boring fight. It's at distance. He lands leg kicks. Yuri's just tentative and maybe gets a couple of takedowns, but he hasn't really shown he wants to proactively just spam takedowns, which is weird because control's good. He just doesn't really have interest in it. Big crowd, huge pay-per-view. Literally 100% of the optics are Jiri. Anything he throws, like even if he doesn't win by KO, I just think he can land 2 or 3 shots around, and that's going to win him rounds on the scorecards over 9 to 10, like basic tapping of the calves. He's basically the closest thing to Tong Po that we have in the UFC.
What do you guys think about the under on this fight? Because Yuri fights just open a ton of volatility with how hittable he is and how dangerous he is. I see the under 1.5 at plus like 140-ish. That's kind of intriguing because I wouldn't be shocked if Rakic hit him with like a clean counter. Yuri doesn't have much striking defense. Like you said, he was out by Dominic Reyes. So I think the under is actually an intriguing play.
Under 1.5, you think?
Yeah, or under 2.5 if you want to buy a little more juice.
Yeah. I don't
2.5 feels good. 1.5. You know what? I called it. Let's do it. 1.5 under.
I would just I'd lose my shit if Rakic ends up laying on him for the first 7.5 minutes of the fight, and then I would
Not
just
going to happen. Not going to happen. Nobody lays on top of Jiri.
Nobody.
Perfect.
They get him down. They get him down over and over and over again, and guess what happens every goddamn time? That dude with the fucked up haircut gets right back up and starts punching you in the fucking face until
he's good at immediately getting to the cage.
Yeah,
like
the guy's
good
got
at
25 career knockouts. 25 career knockouts. Pepe, I already parlayed up the under 2.5 in this fight. I think it's a great parlay piece this week. This guy, he has no concern for his own safety, which is something you love to have that type of fighter in an under bet. And then also, he's very durable and has great recoverability, like you were saying, Mike. So, yeah, this is a guy who's very dangerous wherever the fight goes. God help you if he gets on top of you. Dude, his ground and pound is awesome. It's awesome. He can hit you from anywhere with kicks, knees, spinning elbows, just big, long uppercuts, lead uppercuts, straight rights, straight lefts. He's switching stances constantly. And Rakic, I don't think this guy's very good. I mean, I love the low leg kicks. He does flash some power when he's actually willing to plant his feet and throw. We haven't seen that from him since like the days when he was fighting Manoa and Clark and Francimar Barroso or whoever the hell, like bums, So I do like Jiri. I got him as Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. That's the guy. That's the guy you want carrying that banner, Jiri Prochazka shaves people's asses. That's what he does. He's got 29 wins. 28 of them are finishes. I think the other one was like a 2-round win, like one of those 2-round fights. I mean, like this guy goes out there and he destroys you, and he doesn't care if you get off on him a little bit, because that just pisses him off and makes him mad, and then he comes back and finishes you. So I think the Jiri money line is a little bit of a gift this week. I think he's going to finish him inside the distance. I'm not exactly sure how, but probably KO.
I think we also missed the most important point here. Rakic called Jiri a fake samurai.
Yeah, he's not going to like that.
So it might be all over for Rakic here.
Yeah.
But all right, moving on.
I agree with Rakic, though. Yuri's a fake samurai, but all right.
Out of here, Tyler. That's strike 2.
I got 3, right? Isn't that how baseball works?
We'll give you one more. This ain't baseball. We'll give you one more.
Best behavior.
All right. Next up, we've got our most competitive fight on the card by far. We have Bo Nickal versus Cody Brundage. Tyler, start us off.
Oh, man. Okay, so Cody Brundage is probably winning this in the first, 20-something seconds via guillotine. But I can't. Okay, the only thing I did bet on this is I threw $10 on Cody Brundage inside the distance. $10 wins me about like 160. I did it on Bet Online for plus 1,600. Yeah, I mean, if that hits, I got lunch all of next week.
That's a lot of lentils.
Dude, so many lentils. Dude, I could probably buy lentils for the rest of the year with that. I'm not even kidding. Like, that's not an exaggeration. Not around these parts, man. I'm in the Midwest. Everything's cheap. But point is, Bo Nickal should win. He's supposed to win. So I'm picking him to win. But I won't be mad if Brundage can pull this off. Even if it's by DQ, my inside the distance should still count. Even if it's something stupid like a freak injury. Like, I mean, I don't, you don't wish that it happens to him, but like, I wouldn't be mad at making $160. So we're rooting for Brundage, but we know that Bo Nickal should win.
All right. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't really think there's much to say here. It's Nickal, however he wants, most likely. With guys like this, if you end up playing it, you're really just playing on how he wants to win the fight, right? Like, is he going to go for a knockout, or is he feeling a submission this day? That's really what it comes down to for me, at least. Stylistically, I feel like maybe a knockout is a little bit more live, because Brundage might just, if he gets taken down, might just wrap up the legs and not really try to do anything and try to survive, and then Nickal could just let it rip. And on the feet, he can compete too, Nickal. Maybe fight ends by KO. That could be an interesting look. But yeah, I'm not touching this. There's just no reason or purpose. I think the fight's going to be quick, and I think it's Nickal. I personally think it's probably sub, but I'm not going to sit around and bet on this stuff. How about you, Lou?
This is like the Sophie's choice of fights for me when it was announced, because like I love Bo Nickal being a Pennsylvanian, and like I love Cody because he's like Wheezy and like he's our friend. Like we've broken bread with him on air. Like we've talked to other people in the we like the guy. Like. And when this fight got announced, he's like, "You don't like this fight for me?" I'm like, if you wrestle him, we're not friends anymore. Like, I can't be clearer. So instead of giving you like whatever, I'm going to give you a hilarious bet you could probably do tomorrow on DraftKings of the same game that I think is viable. Let's say Cody jumps guillotine in the first 8 seconds, which is not inconceivable. If you can get a same game parlay with Bo Nickal landing 0 takedowns and winning in the first round, it's going to pay crazy odds, because if Cody jumps Gilly, that's the end of the fight. Bo's on top, and Cody's never getting up, and Bo landed 0 takedowns. I think that's like kind of a hilarious and very viable same game parlay. You don't even need a method. Just Bo round 1 and 0 takedowns. And if he just gets a knockout on the feet, you still win.
Yo, Lou, how pissed would you be if Cody jumped guillotine, but Bo grabbed him by the waist as he was going down, and they counted it as a takedown?
I mean, it is. I mean, that's why you go small. If Cody wins by guillotine, the fucking scenes that like it finally work. Cody should retire on the spot. It's done. He's never topping that moment. Just be like, "Thank you guys. I knew I could hit this move at some point in my career. I'm out." But I think it's like 77-1 for him to win by guillotine. I mean, does it happen? Probably not. His best chance is to bonk him in 30 seconds and hope that Bo Nickal's striking defense hasn't caught up. But dude, this is a guy with literally no vices. He loves Jesus. All this dude does is train. Like, that's all he's been working on is striking defense. You think he's like, oh, I'm going to go practice wrestling? No, he's like, teach me how to strike. He's already got hands that are granite from, like, his grip strength's insane from years and years of wrestling. How did Jimmy Lawson come from the same school as this guy? Jimmy Lawson's a disgrace from the Contender Series. And like, we got Bo Nickal who's like,
he's a heavyweight. What do you want from him?
oh my God, he was fired in 3 seconds against Carl Williams. But yeah, I mean, the Bo under 1.5 minus 375. I don't typically advocate parlay pieces like that, but I'll eat my shoe if it doesn't hit.
All right, Lou's gonna be eating.
I'll eat my shoe.
I don't wish that upon anybody, Lou.
I may as well get drunk if I'm going to do it.
Now
So,
I know
I'll
what
eat
to
my
root
Jewish
for.
shoe.
But all right, how about you, Weezy? You betting on Brundage?
I might throw a quarter unit on Cody. It seems to be the only cogent bet, you know, if you're like a numbers guy, you know, and like, so everybody knows why Bo Nickal is probably going to win this fight. Let me just bring up a couple of things that I think are important. If you think that this is the first time that Cody Brundage is stepping into the cage with a scary fucking dude, you're so wrong. He's been here before, okay? I mean, Rodolfo Vieira looks like an action figure, and the second that dude gets on top of you, he's choking you out, you know? The guy's been in there with Tresean Gore, who's considered one of the better prospects coming in for a minute, and he absolutely destroyed him. He knocked out Jacob Malkoun in the first round, ladies and gentlemen. Why is that funny? That is not funny. He beat Jacob Malkoun in the first round, okay? He absolutely slammed. Like that kid, Zach Reese, that he just beat via slam, right? Zach Reese has had like the exact same record in MMA that Bo Nickal has right now. Bo Nickal's complete MMA career has lasted 5.98 minutes. That's the whole career. We don't even know what this guy looks like if he gets hit. What if he's got a chin like Phil Hawes, another great wrestler? You know? What if he looks like complete trash off of his back, like a lot of wrestlers do? There's a lot of what ifs that we just don't know yet, and you're paying minus 2,800. Pepe, are you laying 28 units to win one here?
Nah, dude. I think
yeah,
it's crazy.
right. I mean,
like part of me is thinking, like, what are we doing here? Like, Bo Nickal has never fought past 3 minutes in a professional fight. And I get it. He has a ton of wrestling experience where he's been extended, but wrestling is a lot different than MMA when you're getting hit. And like you said, we don't even know if he can eat a clean shot. Yeah, there's a ton of question marks. I haven't gone to the Brundage money line, but a part of me is kind of like, you have to at least sprinkle it a little bit. And what's the worst that happens? You know, you lose a quarter unit, you know, and he gets run through. But if this fight gets out of round one, come on, like it could easily be a pick'em. We saw with Bulgarian versus C-Rod, where we had a very, very skilled, hyped fighter who's extremely good at wrestling and was incredible in round one against Christian Rodriguez, completely death gas mid round two. That could definitely happen in this spot. We just don't know what he's made of. There's a ton of question marks. So I do think a Brundage play is probably the right side to be on for sure.
I might play him for a quarter unit. Other than that, I'm going to stay away from the fight.
Five units, Brundage.
I'm sold.
Lean into the volatility.
Let's
Lean
go.
into the volatility.
What do you guys think of Nickal round two? If Brundage somehow
Brundage is winning, dude. We've already figured this out. Brundage is
already established. Brundage
So Cody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cody by round two.
Brundage by flying knee.
Let's
Flying
go.
knee.
All right. I think we can move on at this point. Next up, we've got, I love this fight so much. We got Charles Oliveira versus Arman Tsarukyan. And I'll be starting us off for this one and then passing the mic over, and Tyler will host for a sec because I got to use the restroom. I've had one too many White Claws, but I like Tsarukyan here, man. I the first thing I want to say is maybe you guys have a better angle, but so far, every single person I've seen playing Oliveira knockout, when I ask them why, they just bring up the Silva fight with Tsarukyan, and it's so fucking annoying, man. Like, bro, it was one fight where he got hurt by Silva, sure, and then what happened after that? Did he get knocked out? No.
His recoverability was elite. Like,
Exactly.
That was super impressive.
I just think it's funny that that's all they have to point to. Is Charles awesome? Yes. Is Charles deadly? Yes. Is Charles chinny? Yes. The one thing that's saved Charles in a lot of his fights is that he knows people aren't going to follow him to the ground because he's so nasty on the ground. So he has more time to recover. He can be reckless. He can be hurt. That's why he keeps getting hurt but not knocked out, because no one's following him down to ground and pound. Then he gets back up and then he hurts them himself. Tsarukyan, similar to Islam, is not going to be scared of the ground. He will follow him. He will follow up with shots, and he will try to TKO him. And somebody told me this week that they don't think Tsarukyan does anything on the ground. I mean, did you not watch the Yoel Alvarez fight where he just pulverized the dude's face? Like, are we just going to pretend that's not real because we like Charles? Dude, this is such a favorable matchup for Tsarukyan. He's 27 years old. He's still improving, and he's already a stud. He's already a top 5 fighter. He's already somebody who could be challenging for the belt and possibly champ if Islam wasn't around. And he's 27 years old. He's still getting better in the striking. He's still getting better at everything. And I just think that, like, we just saw Dariush control Oliveira for, what was it, 3-4 minutes of the first round before that finish. Tsarukyan can do that as well, and I don't think he's getting finished. I think he can compete on the feet with Oliveira. I think Oliveira is a fantastic striker with a lot of power, but I think Tsarukyan is also a really good striker. I don't think by any means that on the feet it's just going to be Oliveira piecing him up. Like, I don't see that at all. So for me, it's Tsarukyan all day long. I think the money line is generous. I think it could have been wider, as crazy as that is to say. And I just think he's going to win this fight. So that's where I'm at. How about you, Lou? I'm going to hop out real quick.
Yeah. So I'm going to get out of this bet. I have a tracked bet on Oliveira. I just really thought the price would move in my favor, and it hasn't. And I'm going to get out of this bet. He mentioned the Alvarez fight, and I see a path where that's what this fight looks like, where Tsarukyan just gets one takedown. That's the end of the round. When Benny got the takedown against Oliveira, he had like a mental lapse, man. I don't know what he was doing. He just he was in control of that fight, and then he's like, I don't feel like being on top anymore. And Oliveira, it's like 10 seconds later, the fight's over. I just think Tsarukyan's control is so elite. It doesn't matter if he's in the wide open, if against the cage, like, it just doesn't matter. And I don't know, man. This just seems like he's going to bully him. He's probably going to get him out of there in the second or third round. So not much more to say here. I like the Tsarukyan side quite a bit. And it feels like a trap.
I got 2 bets on this fight that are tracked. I've got the Oliveira finish only prop because, I mean, he's one of the best finishers that's ever set foot in the cage, one of the slickest submission grapplers. And when you look at the submissions for Oliveira, he does it in literally every way. He's got calf slicers, triangles, arm bars, rear naked chokes, guillotines, Darce chokes. He can get it in any different way. And also, I think that I love how Charles is on the feet. He's extremely aggressive. He's constantly pressuring, and he's showing more durability now and recoverability now than he did earlier on in his career when he was making that horrific cut down to 145. So I think that if there's a finish in this fight, it's going to be on the Oliveira side, but I'm picking Arman Tsarukyan to win this fight and win it by decision. So I also have a half unit bet on Arman by decision at plus 350. I think that's a really generous line. I think Arman's an excellent minute winner, and I think that he can get takedowns whenever he wants them. I mean, Charles Oliveira will welcome you taking him down, but Arman can get on top and land some ground and pound, but I don't think he's going to be as dominant as he was on the ground in the Joel Alvarez fight as he is going to be having to worry about the all-time submission leader in the UFC. Getting in that guard is going to be a very dangerous place to be. I think he's probably going to win the minutes of this fight. I think he's going to do okay on the feet. But I think that Arman's going to win a decision here. I think that's how this fight ends. But if there's a finish, I think it's going to be on that Oliveira side, and plus 165. That's a 1 unit bet for me, and then a half unit on Arman by decision.
Did you say is the plus 165? Is that Charles finish only?
The finish only prop, yes.
Okay. Cool. Lou, who'd you pick?
I'm with you. I think Tsarukyan just kind of does what he did to Alvarez and just buries him.
Sick. All right. How about you, Pepe?
Yeah, I got a fat bet on Arman at like minus 140. I didn't track it or anything, but I knew the line was super wide, so I just went heavy on that. But I know Uncle Weezy's not going to like this, but and these are just small pokes, but Unibet was hanging. I don't know if the number is still available, but plus 3,000 and plus 4,500 for Tsarukyan sub 2 and 3. If Pettis can sub Charles Oliveira in round 3, Arman Tsarukyan can. I know he doesn't have a submission in the UFC, but he has plenty pre-UFC. Obviously, he works his grappling quite a bit. I think they're in a lot of iterations of this fight. He's wearing on Oliveira, accumulating damage, and I think it can open up the submission late. So I think those are some cheeky ways to get down on Arman.
All right. Tyler?
All right. So I'm the only one here that's on Oliveira. So I'm gonna take Oliveira. He fights like it's a car wreck, and I feel like in that car wreck, I want to take the guy who's darn near plus 200 at this point, and especially the guy who has like a ton of finishes in his career. I don't remember how many exactly, but a ton of them. The guy who can battle back against, after being arguably 10-8'd by Michael Chandler in the first round, come back, knock the dude out right away in the next one. So, I mean, like stuff like that, where the guy, he's able to battle back when he's hurt. Now that he's at 155 pounds, he wasn't at 145, but at 155, he has been able to. I could be wrong. Arman's a big favorite for a reason. I get it. He's very skilled, but I'll take the car crash here, and I'm going to take Charles Oliveira to get it done. All this is coming out, even though I've said time and time again, my biggest bet I've ever made in my life was against Charles Oliveira with Islam Makhachev at minus 190. Biggest bet I've ever made in my life. Opened new sports books just to play that because it felt like it was such a lock. But I don't, and I know everybody thinks that, Arman had a close fight with Islam way back in the day, so that means that they're the same fighter somehow, and they're going to be able to do the same thing to Charles. I don't think that's the case. I think the way that Oliveira fights is just going to be a problem for Tsarukyan in moments, and I think he's going to be able to get it done in one of those moments. He might lose minutes until then, but I think he's getting it in the moment. But I could also be way wrong. We'll find out on Saturday.
Hey, what's the saying? If Sambo were easy, it would be called jiu-jitsu.
I agree with you most of the time. I do. That's why I picked Islam over him by a landslide.
Yeah, I'm kind of a known Charles hater too, so take it with a grain of salt, but I think Arman beats him easily.
He could do it. He definitely could.
Not a Charles hater, but I've also I've faded him in many fights. But Justin, the only fighters I have on my wall are actually both on this card as well. We got Max over here fucking the shit up out of Cater. And that's all we got. So, yeah, shut the fuck up. Dog over here, dude, benching 25 pounds isn't getting you a pump, bro. Come on now.
He's got a lat pump. He shouldn't be benching to work his lats.
I didn't read that part.
It makes sense, brother.
I just skipped the pump. But all right, before we move on real quick, we got 115 people in the chat right now watching. So please like and subscribe. Follow every single one of these people. They're all incredibly sharp, hilarious, and handsome. So make sure you're following all of us. Make sure you're subscribing to all of us, and make sure you're liking the video. And thank you all for watching, and let's keep moving on. Next up, we've got the first title fight of the card. We've got Justin Gaethje versus Max Holloway. And Lou, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, this is another one. This is how I thought the line for the Oliveira fight would go. Well, we got a lot of buy-in on Max Holloway. I dug deep. I did a lot of thinking about this, just the ways this could play out. And man, I gave this away on the prop show today. Gaethje round 3 through 5 KO on FanDuel. It's plus 550. I think the big difference in this fight is going to be the leg kicks. I think Gaethje is just going to wail Holloway over and over and over again. Anytime he gets in boxing range, he's going to land them. I think he's going to compromise Holloway's movement, and that's what makes his boxing so good. I know that's like not really a super hot take. Your legs hurt. You don't have as good movement with your boxing, but I just think really Gaethje just everything is vicious, and he's not even throwing feelers out there, man. He lands one in the first round, he could compromise him. I just think over a 5-round fight, he eventually just wears down Max's legs. Hands start coming down. Gaethje's eventually going to start landing bombs and get him out of there late. So I like Gaethje. I will say this. I'm very curious how the crowd optics go on this because I kind of feel like they're going to be so pro Max just being like who he is that he may land a 7-punch flurry and the crowd's going to go bonkers and will have no damage on Gaethje. I wonder how that will play out. But I do favor Gaethje, especially as the fight goes on. I just think the leg kicks are going to be banked and really make Max look awful. And if he's limping, those optics are, even in close rounds, just going to be a bad look for him. So I like Gaethje. The price has come down where I think it's completely playable. And that's the play for me. No prop needed here. I think the line's low enough.
I do like your prop look, though. If you're on Gaethje, I think that's a sharp play. I had a similar thought, but I'll talk about it when I get to me. But Wheezy, what are you thinking?
Man, I got no bets on this fight, and I'm pretty thrilled about it, to be honest with you. I love Max Holloway for DraftKings this week. He's going to be in my cash lineup. And Gaethje by decision at plus 300 because, like, they don't let you put the Stinga on your glove anymore with the barbed wire. They don't let you bring a shovel in there. You can't bring a gun or a knife in there. So how the hell are you going to finish Max Holloway? It's going to be very difficult unless you like shut down the perennial nerve or maybe hit that hit his liver or something like that. So I kind of feel like Gaethje's best win condition here, like everybody's best win condition has been against Max Holloway, is to win a decision. And Gaethje's about minus 160 on the money line, but the decision prop is plus 300. So I kind of feel like that's the way to play this fight. I know there's a lot of real sharp people on Max Holloway this week, but I don't know how he's going to deal with those leg kicks. You know, if you're a boxer and you move as much laterally and in and out as Max Holloway does, Gaethje's going to find your legs no matter what stance you're in. It doesn't matter if you're in the same stance as him or the opposite stance. He'll throw switch kicks to the outside if you're in the opposite stance. He'll throw inside leg kicks, and he'll throw the traditional outside calf kick if you're in the same stance as him too. So Gaethje's going to work those legs over 5 rounds. He's a very durable guy, and Max is not a one-punch power guy. So I think Gaethje's going to be there for the full 5 rounds. Damage over control is how this fight is going to be scored. And I think that there's a power differential here for Justin Gaethje. So I think Gaethje by decision plus 300 is the way I would play this. If I were to have a bet on it, I just don't have a bet on it yet. I think I'm going to enjoy this fight too much to want to bet it.
Yeah, fair. Definitely makes sense to me. How about you, Pepe?
I think for DraftKings tournaments, Gaethje might be a nice pivot play because I think Holloway is going to be a popular cheap play for DraftKings. I think a lot of people are going to be on him. You know, more people recognize Holloway. He's a salary saver, so I think Gaethje could be a nice tournament pivot play just to get unique on some game theory stuff. But as far as betting this fight, it's super tricky in my opinion. I was originally thinking Gaethje over and Gaethje by decision. Like I think I saw like a plus 300 earlier in the week, but the more I think about it, like I know these guys are both durable, but it's gonna be fucking chaos. And yeah. I don't think I want to have to sweat, you know, a bet at Pick'em. It's not like we're getting plus money to get to GTD. You know, granted, they're both super fucking durable, but this is going to be an insane war. The more I think about it, the more I'm leaning fight ends by KO. I haven't seen the price on that, but I would be interested in playing that if it was, you know, plus 300 or something like that. As of now, I don't have anything. Officially, I'll pick Gaethje to get the win, but it's kind of just a contrarian take and fading the steam. But I do think Gaethje's got the power difference. The leg kicks are gonna, obviously cripple Holloway's movement. We saw in the Volk fights that Volk, chopping his legs down was super effective, and Gaethje has, the best leg kicks in MMA. So yeah, I'll lean Gaethje as a side. If it got down to like minus 125, I might get in because I think you could always arb live. I think Gaethje's going to be good early. You might be able to get a big plus money on Max after 1 or 2 rounds. So it might put you in a pretty situation. But as of now, I don't have anything, just looking at the board still.
All right, Tyler.
Okay, so the longer this stream goes on, the more I think that I wish I was able to watch this card as a fan and not have to make predictions or anything like that on it, because there's just so many fun fights on this card. And that kind of just hit me now. So that's actually a bummer because if at least 60 something% of my predictions don't come through, instead of just being like, man, that was a really fun card, I'm so glad I got to watch this, I have to be like, man, I'm a fraud, a loser, and now I got to deal with all this crap on the internet next week. But so that's a shame. But because a lot of these fights are just gonna be fun fights to watch, and this is one of those fights. Probably the most one of those fights is going to be this fight. And I definitely am probably letting the fan side of me make the pick because I do really like Max Holloway. Who doesn't? I did bet the point spread, and so Max needs to win a round and survive.
2,
which I think he can do.
2 rounds.
I think he can. Two.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So he's got to win 2 rounds, right? And survive. But yes, that's right. 5-round fight. That makes sense. But so I think he can do that. I think it's gonna be close. I think it could totally end up being one of those fights where it's like split decision, and it comes down to volume versus power shots. It comes down to, what judge wrote their scorecard before the fight and which ones didn't. It could be either. You know what I mean? I'll take Max because I'm kind of be rooting for him anyway. And I think that's it. Yeah. No hot takes. He'll probably win a decision if he wins. That's what I got.
All right. Yeah. So for me, I'm super biased with Max. I mean, I have he's probably my favorite fighter who's active right now by far. Hence this picture right here. I love the dude. I think he's amazing. And I do think he's live. I think as the dog, he's probably the rightful spot. I wouldn't play it at these odds. I would just pass, honestly. But a few things to consider. A lot of people have been talking about the Poirier fight. I think he took this move up way more seriously than he did with Poirier. He looks thick. I haven't seen him with the shirt off yet at face-offs against Gaethje, so we'll see tomorrow what that looks like at ceremonials. But I think that's something worth considering. I do think he's going to be more of a 155er in this fight. I think he's going to have the volume advantage. I think he's a little bit cleaner when it comes to the hands. He's more tested in 5 rounds. The one thing that, the reason I didn't play Max early when the odds were, real nice is, I understand he's got a granite chin and it's, amazing and all that. But he's been getting hurt a lot. He's been getting hurt. And even against Zombie, he got hurt twice in that fight. He got hurt early, and then he got hurt right before the finish. He got hurt twice. So that's a little concerning because, again, that's 145. That's an older Zombie. And now you're coming up to 155 against probably one of the, if not the hardest hitter at 155. And it's scary. And it's also if Max was the kind of guy who would maintain range and not initiate, participate in these brawls, that would be different. But he will participate in a brawl. And Gaethje's going to hit much harder up close, in my opinion. That's where he's most dangerous. And it's very scary if you're going to bet on Max. I think that Max at this point with this line, if you're going to bet Max, I think I like round 4 or 5 decision. I think that's a decent spot. That's plus 200 on FanDuel last I saw it, because I don't think Max is going to finish him early by any means. I would be shocked. And I think if a finish comes, it'll be late. I think most likely if Max wins, it's a decision. But I think Gaethje can win a decision too. That's why I like what Weezy said. I like what Lou said because that was my gut reaction was maybe like a 3, 4, 5 knockout of Gaethje. I think that's live too. And because I'm all over the place, that's why I'm like, in terms of a money line, I think it's a pass. Small play on Holloway late. I mean, 4-5 decision. I think that's valid. But other than that, this is a fight that I think it's just, you're better off just watching it and enjoying it as a fan. What do you guys think of Holloway? I saw so many people, maybe not so many, but I've seen several people on Holloway late submission props.
Yo,
what do you guys make of that?
This guy Nate in my comment section was making a good case for it, right? And I don't think I haven't seen him in the chat, but Nate Brown, I think it was. Dude, he was making a case for this. Like he was pointing to examples. Sure, these examples were from like 2015, but he was pointing to some stuff that I was like, yeah. And even in my own breakdown, I did say that Max Holloway has a decent guillotine. Dude, it could happen. It could, you know.
Shoot, though? Why the hell would he shoot?
No, not shoot. It's all right. Hold up. We're getting the demo. So Gaethje's coming in. He's plodding forward, you know, doing this, bombing his shots, and he goes to duck under this, and Max just dude's got them choking arms, brother. He's got choking arms. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Them little
He's got those narrow ass arms.
Word.
Bony indeed. Come up, get that bone right up in there, right up in your carotid artery. Nighty night, keep your butthole tight.
Word. He has a decent guillotine.
So how much money would you put on?
Striking match, and all of a sudden he just grabs a guillotine. You don't see that coming. It's, you know, they've been 20 minutes or so of just throwing bombs at each other. I don't know. Dude almost talked me into it. It's crazy odds.
Can I ask how much money you would throw on it hypothetically? Like, do you think it's worth $10, $20?
How many tuna cans?
It's like a $5 play because the odds are ridiculous.
So for $5, I could get a nice cold Yingling lager.
It's a whole unit for you, Lou.
That's
Dude, there you go, brother.
2.5 unit is one beer. That's why I don't want to lose 84 units this week. But yeah, I would probably just get a beer, then play the sub. At least I know where that's going.
You know, whenever people make those kind of comments, like donation, you know, that stuff ends up hitting. So now
I know. Now I might have to play it just because Lou like reverse mushed it.
What's max by guillotine on BetMGM? Does anyone know?
Dude, it's got to be amazing. I have no idea though.
I don't think those props are out until like tomorrow, but I'm gonna look it up for you right now.
Because he has, I pulled it up. He has 2 guillotine chokes, and that's
Feely and
for
Swanson
subs in the UFC.
Yeah, I don't think the props aren't up yet. Oh, here we go. Hold on, it is.
There we go.
What'd you say, guillotine?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It is 1,800. It's not great.
Oh, I would have thought it would be way. I was thinking like plus 8,000 or something.
Yeah, you would think it would be. Maybe somebody's onto something here, huh? Maybe
Holloway
somebody's onto something here, guys.
You can get Holloway sub at plus 2,200 on Bet Rivers.
Yeah.
I don't know how like betting the under can be a bad bet with like how insane of a war this is going to be. Like it should be on the feet the whole time, and they're just going to be like exchanging their hardest punches. And both of them are kind of due for getting their chins cracked. Yeah. The more I think about it, the more I kind of am leaning on the underside.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Any kind of stoppage, obviously. Like, I mean, we've seen it before where it's like, oh, you know, he's got a cut. You better just stop it there, you know? So who knows? Like in a fight like this where they're throwing hammers the whole time, I mean, somebody could get cut. And the doctor steps in and is like, yeah, you can't go on anymore. Under's not a bad spot.
Yeah. Gaethje gets rocked all the time. They both do.
Yeah. Makes sense. Real quick, though, first off, listen to Dan, guys. Smash the like button, please, and thank you, and subscribe and all that good stuff. And also, check out Dan's breakdown for this card. I mean, it was fucking awesome. I listened to it today in the car. He had a crazy lineup. Bilal Muhammad. He had all the guys on there. Definitely check it out. It was a really, really good video. Make sure you're checking out Dan's channel and subscribing to him as well. And yeah, let's move on to the next fight. Everybody got their licks in for that one?
The dude who broke down the Andrade Marina fight seemed kind of like an idiot, so I don't know.
Art?
No, that was me.
Oh. Nice. I'm surprised he didn't give you the Yusuf fight after everything.
He gave me the choice of what fight to pick, and I picked that one.
Oh, nice.
I didn't know I was gonna be into Yusuf until last night.
I was gonna say when you said that idiot, I was like, I don't know. Art is pretty sharp. But
No, Art did the Wei Li fight.
yeah, that's why I got mixed up.
Good segue for the next fight we're doing.
Yep. Speaking of that fight, here we go. We've got Weili Zhang versus Yan Jianan. Weili. Oh, we're not doing all that. Who went last? Remind me, please. Was it Lou?
I couldn't even tell you.
I'm gonna pretend it was Lou. Wheezy, start us off, brother.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any action on this fight, but I mean, I think Weili's gonna beat 7 shades of shit out of Yan. I mean, her the grappling that she's shown over her 3-fight winning streak has been absolutely ridiculous. Ridiculous. And it's where we've seen Yan be exploited. Now, if this fight stays standing for 5 rounds, you know, I think that this is minus 110 apiece. But, you know, Weili's wrestling and top control, submission game, ground and pound, it's all next level. And there's no evidence to suggest that if she gets Yan down, Yan's going to be getting back up or surviving the kind of onslaught that's going to be coming her way here. You know, Weili has just looked so dominant, but you know, with the line where it is, there's no way to make money on it. So I'm just going to sit back and enjoy the fight. These are 2 high-level ladies. I'm going to enjoy watching them go at it, but I think Weili's going to get her hand raised.
All right, Pepe.
I know there's a bit of sharp, a bunch of sharp people on the Yan Jianan side, and I definitely get it. Like getting plus 385 on a fighter that's not in a different stratosphere from Wei Li is obviously very, very tempting. But you know, the biggest talking point with this fight is the grappling advantage that Wei Li's gonna have. But I mean, what if she doesn't get her grappling going? What if Yan Jianan has worked on her takedown defense? You know, you're gonna feel like an idiot parlaying minus 500 Wei Li. I bet the under in the Lemos versus Wei Li fight pretty big, and I was really disappointed in Wei Li's finishing abilities. So, you know, part of me wants to bet the over here. But I just know if I bet the over here, then the under is gonna hit this time. So ultimately, I'm passing. Don't really have too much interest from a betting standpoint. I don't want to bet Yan and then have her again taken down. You know, I'll fight and then it's just a donation. So I'm just gonna pass completely on this one.
All right, Tower.
Yeah, Zhang's getting it done probably. So something I have in my notes that kind of goes off of a little bit what Pepe was saying is, so he bet the under in the Lemos fight. And the reason I believe that Zhang was not able to really just tee off, like really posture up and go, is because in past fights, when she gets to just really laying into the ground and pound, she's given up the control and letting people slide out, right? And when you have somebody like Lemos down there who is pretty good at, you know, moving from the bottom, she's good at, regaining guard and then working back to her feet if she needs to. So, because I mean, she's got plenty of jiu-jitsu skill, right? So although she's a striker, she has plenty of jiu-jitsu skill. But in this one, I don't think Yan Jianan has the ability to get back up. She just hasn't ever shown any desire to like find her way back to her feet. She's willing to be there. And I think that's going to give Zhang the openings that she needs to just start really teeing off, like posturing up and not worrying about control at that point. Because I think once she's got her flattened on her back, it's going to be like trying to hold down like somebody 3 divisions smaller than you, because she's just going to be that much better on top, I think, than Yan Jianan is. I could be way off, but I think that's what we're going to see here. I think it's going to be a case of where in the last defense where she had to focus more on holding the opponent down so as not to get her back to her feet and be in a tough striking match. This one, once she gets it to the mat, it's going to be her just teeing off. That's my belief. So I do think she gets it done inside the distance. I think Zhang's going to be able to really just let her hands go down there. And I think on the feet, though, it is going to be closer. And she's probably going to get tagged a couple of times. So Zhang Weili is the pick. I think she gets it done 4:59 of round number 1.
Okay, another time prop over there from Tyler. Yeah, so for me, I like Weili. I like Weili ITD. If you're going to play it, I think that's the way to do it. I can see a decision as well. I just think this woman just gets more and more violent every damn fight. And it's weird to say at 34 years old, she's still improving, but I do still think she's improving. Like, I'm seeing improvements every single fight. Like, I faded her both times with Rose, and I just feel like she's gotten better since then, even in the second Rose fight. I mean, it's not like the first Rose fight was much. It was a quick head kick, but I thought she looked good, and I think she's getting better and better and better. So is Jan. And I think if you put a gun to my head and said you have to bet a money line or else, I would bet Jan. I think the line is too wide. I do think that, we keep talking about the ground game, but this isn't like Dern. This isn't like, this isn't some insane jiu-jitsu specialist. This isn't some D1 wrestler. Zhang, her grappling came later. And do I think she's going to use it? Absolutely. But I think maybe it's being a little bit overrated. I think on the feet, it's close. I think Jan's going to have a little bit more pop. I think I keep mixing them up. I'm sorry. Weili's going to have a bit more pop. I think I've had a little bit too many White Claws. I think Jan will be a little bit better at range. But I just think that, the grappling will have something to do with it. I do think Zhang can get it down. I do think she can rain that ground and pound. I think the finish can come on the feet or on the ground. I don't think it'll be a sub. I think it'll be a KO or a TKO situation. But I do think the line is a bit wide. Like, if I had to bet a money line, it would be on the Jan side at plus 375 or whatever it is now. How about you, Lou?
I would say if you like the Weili Zhang in the distance, just play the under 4.5. It's like 10, 15 cents difference across the books. So, like, as long as you don't feel like getting greedy, then you do get, the Jan finish equity here. Yeah, I'm on the Weili, not a hot take. I'm on the Weili Zhang side. It's funny because we just had a fight like this, not as wide, but we had a fight, Atlantic City main event, where the line got bet heavily predicated on assuming somebody's going to get takedowns and the person couldn't get up. And Fioro stuffed him, and it was night and day. The big difference here for me with Weili Zhang is, and she has a nice little hesitation move on the feet where she lands a punch or throws a punch, and then it looks like she's about to fall back into range and then shoots.
Can you reenact it?
And I do think her top control is pretty elite. I think once she gets to takedown, that's probably the end of the round. She's also not just laying and praying. She's always trying to move up. She's thrown plenty of punches to stay busy. She has great optics for judges too. I just think she wins a lot of rounds here. I don't know if I love the finish, honestly. I don't really have an interest in betting it because I think Weili Zhang by decision is almost probable for me with just the way it looks, but I'll pick her, and I'm going to watch and have a good time with it. That's it.
Weili by decision. I wanted to see what it's at. Oh, it's like plus 200 on Bet Online.
And the distance is what, 105? Like, it's not even, you're not getting, it's a tricky fight to bet if you just want to do a method. But
the more I think about this fight, the more I'm kind of leaning under, to be honest.
What's your angle?
Just, if Weili's minus 500, if she's getting her game off, she should be able to brutalize Jan on the ground. And Weili's super hittable. She's obviously open to a knockout. So you get both of those possibilities at Pick'em, 5 rounds. Usually I like to bet overs with women, but I don't know. This is in front of a massive crowd. It only takes one little mistake for a finish to open up.
Yeah, makes sense. But all right, guys, we can move on to our main event of the evening. A lot of hot takes all over the internet for this one. We got Alex Pereira versus Jamal Hill. Pepe. Your turn, brother. Start us off.
Okay, so I feel like a ton of people are on the same side as me, and I'm a little I'm a little scared because the line's not coming in as much as I thought it would be, but I'm on Hill pretty big, and I think it's a great stylistic matchup for him against Alex Pereira. And I think he even has grappling upside in this matchup. When Hill fought Glover, I don't know if it was like during the embedded or after the fight, he was kind of really talking about how he works on his grappling quite a bit. There was some footage of him grappling. So I think it's a point of emphasis for him to be a well-rounded fighter. Obviously, everyone knows him for his boxing and his knockout ability. He's got power in both hands, elite durability, elite cardio, elite volume. These are things that you love to see and love to bet on as an underdog. So it's kind of like the dream setup for me. I'm pretty big on him. I even think he can land takedowns. Pereira slows down quite a bit in any fight that he has grappled in. His volume goes. His volume's already bad, but in the fights that he's grappled, like the Blachowicz fight, his volume like fell off a cliff, and he looked very slow. He's getting up there in age. He's kind of chinny. He's had a super long and world-class career, but he's taken a ton of damage. And so I think Hill has way more advantages in this fight. The line makes absolutely no sense to me. And I actually took a small poke on Hill by submission at plus 1,400, just because Hill is the kind of guy, like, yes, he's going to want to get the knockout and he's going to be striking for most of the fight. But if he does take Pereira down at any point in the fight and he's raining down ground and pound, there's a chance Pereira gives up his neck and he is able to get an easy submission. I think Hill would be the kind of guy where he gets on the mic after and be like, y'all didn't think I knew how to grapple, did you? Like, he would say some crazy shit like that. So yeah, I'm predicting Hill to get his first professional submission.
Are you worried? And this is for all you guys when it's your turn. Are you worried at all about the injury? Because I know that's a huge thing going into this.
I am a little bit, for sure. I'm definitely keeping it in consideration, but the amount of advantages that he has, like, I have to play him as the underdog.
Fair enough. Tyler?
Yeah, I agree with Pepe. I love the Hillside here. I think he wins. I bet him clear back when the line dropped. I think it dropped at like plus 135. That's when I first saw it. That's when I bet it. I only did a unit and a half, thinking more people were going to jump on the Pereira side because he's such a big fan favorite, but didn't happen. So unfortunately, I never got to double down on that, but that's okay. We got him for a unit and a half at plus 135. I don't probably going any heavier is probably getting reckless. I do think he wins at a pretty high clip. I think he's the better fighter. The Achilles injury is the only thing that gives me pause. I understand Alex Pereira is a deadly striker. I understand that he has that death touch in his hands. I understand that he could knock out Hill, and I understand that he definitely has these skills on the feet to make it close, even if he doesn't knock him out. But over 5 rounds, I think the better minute winner is going to be the volume guy, which is going to be Hill. It's going to be the guy with tons of power as well. Both guys do. Hill's just going to have every advantage outside of, pure kickboxing, I guess.
Yeah, the leg kicks are the advantage that Pereira has, but Hill being southpaw and ability to strike from both stances will be able to negate that.
I would hope so. Yeah, that's kind of my thought too. And another thing is you saw everybody sharing it around the like thing about Hill crossing his feet or whatever and standing flat-footed and stuff. And like, I tell people this all the time, every day. Actually, even just this morning, and it was bright and early, 5:30 this morning. I was talking to a nice young lady who asked me a question, and she didn't like my answer because she thought I was dismissing her when I said, yeah, that's fine, when she asked if something was correct. And she's like, well, I want to know what's right. And I said, well, it's not wrong, and neither is the way you did it before. Because in martial arts, there are very few absolutes. There's a lot of often, sometimes, rarely, or like, usually. But there's not a lot of, yes, this is the only thing, the only possible correct. There's very few of those. And there are times that you cross your feet. Sure, it's not something you want to make a habit of typically, but there are times to do it. And I don't think Hill has bad footwork. I understand that that's kind of the point that was trying to be made, is that Hill has bad footwork. I don't think he does. I think he's got very good footwork. And I think when he steps through with his punches, a lot of times that's the time he's crossing his feet. And I think that works for him well. And I think that could work for him in this matchup. I think Hill's going to be the striker that's winning minutes, landing more volume. And I think he's probably going to get a knockout at some point, but I'm not against the sub idea. I think that could be huge. And if he hits that, I'm happy too, because I just played his money line. But I feel good about Jamal Hill. One of my more rational, I think, picks on this card that wasn't dictated by me just being a big fan of either guy, because I do enjoy both of these fighters. So I've rambled too much. We're going to go Hill wins in round number 2, 1 minute and 2 minutes and 36 seconds.
Okay.
Over 1.5. You heard it here first.
Yes, sir.
There you go. Over 1.5, just barely.
Speaking of the over 1.5, like that was one of my favorite plays early on when it was like minus 130. I played that. I'll say it right now. Like that'll be my free play of the week. I thought that was a really good spot. No, I hit 140 actually. I liked that too. Now it's like minus 170. It's a little scary, but I do like the over. I think this is going to be a little bit slower paced in the beginning, and I just think that it's going to take a second for both guys to get going. And I think both guys are relatively durable. I question the durability of Pereira, but I think he's got enough to hang for 7.5 minutes. I did also want to talk about the crossing feet thing that Tower said. I've been thinking about this all week because I noticed it on the tape, and then I saw the video on Twitter or whatnot. And I don't know striking. I never trained striking in my entire life. I did Sambo when I was young, and I wrestled in high school. And in both of those, one of the first things you learn, other than learning how to fall down, is you learn not to cross your feet. Because in terms of grappling, it makes it too easy to get taken down. I don't know the relevance in the striking, and I've tried to ask around, and from what I understand, it's not a huge deal. And Pereira's not going to be shooting takedowns, so I think it's fine here. But just something worth talking about. Also think it's interesting, I don't normally really take into account like betting splits and stuff. I don't even have an account to look at it. It's like costs money now on VSIN, but I got someone to send it to me this week because I wanted to see the split on Charles Arman, which I also thought was interesting because the split is super heavy on Charles, but the line wasn't moving. But similar thing here, the split on Pereira at 72% and 73% on the handle and the bet percentage. And it's interesting because the money's only coming in on Hill, or rather the lines are moving down on Hill. So, why are the bookies still moving the line down? I don't know, but just worth mentioning. I like Hill as well.
It seems like everyone on MMA Twitter is on Hill.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I felt like I don't know if I've seen a single Pereira bet. I've seen people say Pereira is going to knock him out, but I haven't seen a single person actually, like a capper, say I'm going to go and bet Pereira. Nobody I talked to, no one. And so far, no one on this panel either. So it's interesting. But yeah, I like Hill. I have the concern about the injury, just like everyone else. Maybe not so much like, Pereira's going to calf kick him and his leg's going to die. More so, was he able to train fully for this? I mean, I think most fighters would have taken the opportunity for UFC 300, regardless of how prepared they were. So I think it's a valid thing to mention and be concerned about. But I just think Hill shouldn't be the underdog. I think the odds are off. I think that Hill's volume is more significant. Pereira is low volume. He's happy to fight off the back foot. I think he's relatively chinny. He's old. And I think he's kind of limited. Like, I don't know if I'm crazy for it, but I think Pereira's kind of limited. He's got that left hook. He's got the nasty leg kicks. But what else does he do that's like fantastic? Not really anything.
I think if you're gonna make a case for Pereira, he's really good at baiting people into power shots. Like he's very good at trapping you, and that's really
this is one.
Yeah, he's good at setting traps.
Speaking of traps, he does parry and trap hands very well as well.
Yeah, and Hill can get wild, right? We saw that even against Glover. He got extremely wild. But, that's another thing. Like, maybe he got wild against Glover because he wasn't so worried about what was coming back against him on the feet. If Glover had a left hook or crazy kickboxing like Pereira does, maybe he wouldn't have fought like that. These are maybes. It's an assumption, but it's just a thought that literally just came to me is maybe that's why he was a little bit more wild. He wasn't as concerned about that. I really do feel like Hill's going to win this fight. I think it's going to be a knockout. I think it's going to come later. I think the volume's going to be too much. I think the power's going to be a little too much. You guys see that video of Pereira hitting the bag and it being like bigger than Ngannou's number? Just thought it was funny because like first it was what's his face, Pyfer. Then Pyfer loses and that's out the window. So they're like, all right, who else we got who hits real hard? Let's try Pereira now.
Yeah, I was starting to wonder if this thing is just all like gobbledygook.
Dude, anything to discredit Ngannou if you're Dana White, anything. Literally anything to discredit Ngannou. But yeah, I like Hill here, and I'll let Lou go now. How about you, Lou?
Well, I was going to steal Wheezy's shine by saying I love the over.
And then I
feel better about the over. By the way, MMA MySpace is all over Pereira, and that's probably why the line is like staying where it is. Like
Still a thing.
All my top 8 are like all on Pereira, and Tom are just like loading up on Pereira. I mean, you guys already covered a lot of it. Like, I just feel like the first 5 minutes of this fight, more often than not, this is the biggest fight on the biggest card in UFC history. This is Hill coming off a layoff and an injury. This is going to be a pretty tentative 5 minutes, getting reads. They got 5 rounds to work with. Pereira in general is not a high volume round 1 guy. Hill has been, but that's against like kind of inferior competition. I think this is just very much get your reads the first 5 minutes and then sweat the next 2.5 minutes. My book has it at minus 162. I still think there's a lot of value there. I think, honestly, I'd be shocked if there's a first round knockout here. I want to give a shout out to Dogfather for a way to play this too, that he found that I liked. He put a same game parlay out. It was like over half a round and fight to end by KO. I get that Pepe's on the sub. I understand why. I mean, this is not a hot take.
What are the odds on that, Lou? Do you know?
The same game parlay, like minus 150 for a fight to go over half a round and ending KO. I think that's an interesting look because fight doesn't go as like minus 450 or whatever. So I think that's kind of a cool look. Look, if it ends in 2 minutes, it ends in 2 minutes. It is what it is. But I really do think we've seen stylistic fights like this before, especially with one guy coming off an injury, 2 high-level strikers, both with death touches. It's going to be more, let's get reads in the first round. Nobody make a mistake. And then you're sweating 2.5 minutes. To Pepe's point, I do like the idea of Hill going for takedowns here. Not that he spams them, but I would love to see him go for one early. If anything, just to put it in Pereira's head. Like, dude, I've been working on this part of my game. If anything, maybe it gets Pereira's hands down. He already holds him a little bit low. Not like terribly, but I think then you get his hands dipping really, really low. And Hill doesn't need like an accumulation of headshots to knock him out. He definitely can get him with one shot. So I do think the first round's slow and then it builds up. But Hill shooting a takedown like in the last minute of round 1 is just perfect for anybody on the hill. I'm also on the Hill side here. But I do think it's Hill 3, 4, 5. Yeah, well, everybody I know that's smart took Hill. I'm like, well, who am I to doubt El Dandy and all my smart friends? So I'm on the Hill side also. And I do think as this fight goes on, I just like Hill's volume big.
It is kind of scaring the shit out of me that everybody is on Hill. Maybe Wheezy's not. That'll make me feel better, but it looks like he is too. Wheezy, where are you at?
So my official pick, which means nothing if you're not betting it, is Pereira to win late by KO. But I found a line that to me makes absolutely zero sense. I brought it up on the MMA Engine's props to consider and maybe bet. Now I've already bet it, but like if I could, so I already talked to Lou about this one, but I want to ask Pepe, Tyler, and Mike what you think. If I were to tell you, all right, cap a line for who wins more significant strikes, right? Like at the end of the fight, who's going to land more significant strikes, and cap a line for who you think would land more? Pepe?
Hill minus 265.
Okay.
So,
Tyler?
so I already heard the show, but like, yeah, Hill's like minus 500 there, honestly.
Yeah. Okay. Mike?
I'm pulling up an odds converter so I can say it correctly. Minus 400. 80% is what I thought.
So on Bet Rivers, they have Jamal Hill to land more significant strikes than Alex Pereira. at plus 115. Now,
Yeah, if they offer that in New York, it's all over right now.
I wish I had Bet Rivers. I'd max bet that.
Dude, I put it out on Twitter. I was like, dude, this line makes no sense at all. Jamal Hill, in terms of landing more than his opponents at distance range, right? Because I'm not predicting much grappling to handle to happen here. And if it does, I think it's going to be Jamal landing more in the grappling and in the clinch exchanges, right? But at range, Jamal Hill is a +4 distance striking differential. He throws a shit ton of volume. He's very accurate. He's very defensively responsible. And he's got a lot of really good long-range weapons. So to think that you would cap Alex Pereira to land more significant strikes at 61% is hilarious to me. So if you have Bet Rivers, just go bet Jamal Hill at plus 115 to land more significant strikes, because that's an absolutely silly line. But other than that, you got a long layoff for Hill, a year and a half. And he's 8 to 9 months removed from that Achilles injury. So that's enough for me to just stay away, but go get that gift of a line. I mean, there's no way that Alex Pereira is out-voluming Jamal Hill. Jamal Hill is a more durable striker here too. So to think that he's going to land less significant strikes is ridiculous to me. Go get that gift of a line, and then you can argue with everybody else but your Uncle Wheezy about who's going to win this fight, because I care not. I just dumped a bunch of money on that.
That's amazing, dude. Here, I just checked. Bet Rivers in New York indeed does not offer that, and I'm devastated because I don't.
Illinois, they're offering that shit, and I'm like, what the hell?
No, should I drive over to Illinois tonight?
Dude, come hang out at my place, Pepe. I got shit tons of chronic. I got a bunch of beer.
Let's go.
We can make a bunch of money on this prop, man. Get over here, dude.
I empty my bank account in there, and then Hill gets one punch knockout.
First and only punch of the night, Alex.
Yeah, and I have like 15,000.
If I had that, I would have gone really hard. If Bet Online by some miracle does something similar and doesn't watch this show, which I highly doubt they will. So maybe they will give it to us. But
I hear they watch all my content. I don't know.
The last time I went really hard on one of those kinds of props was what's his fucking name? Felipe Bunes, is that his name?
Yeah,
the guy who fought Van.
Yeah.
Yeah, over 0.5 takedowns was like -110 or something along those lines.
I had that too, dude. I gave that out on Twitter as well. I'm like, come on, he's getting one.
Yeah, I ripped that. Like I irresponsibly, I threw units out the window and I hit that really hard. And
they also had Davison Figueiredo in the Font fight at over 0.5 takedowns at a pick'em, and I was like, I put that on Twitter too. I was like, that makes no sense. You got to jump on that as well.
I remember it was UFC 297. It was plus 120 on Bet Online for Sean Strickland to land more strikes than Dricus. And I remember I gave it out on Brady's show as one of my best bets. Insane. Like that was a stupid line. Like Strickland outlanded him by a pretty good clip. Sure, he lost the fight according to the judges, but definitely outlanded him. That's what he does. The guy just peppers you with volume. So like that was a crazy line to have plus 120. So sometimes they just get these way wrong.
Yeah, that was a wild one. Picking Pereira, but I don't care about the pick. I'm really looking forward to see who wins the fight.
All right, there we go. So that's 4-1.
Don't forget about Dixon's thing,
dude. Read my mind. I'm on it. That's it, guys. In terms of fights, that's 13 fights. Before we wrap up the show, we are going to grant Dixon's wish. We're going to do the parlay, and I'm going to write it down so we can see how we do. Each of us will pick one leg.
Are we going for like a wild parlay, or are we trying to be like the most confident, like we're trying to make sure this thing hits, or are we just trying to get wild?
Can I go first? Because I have to piss really bad. All right, so I don't know if anyone else is going to give this out, but my two favorite are Hill Moneyline or Harrison ITD. So one of you can take one of the other. Those are my two that I'm going to give. And thanks for having me on, Couch. I appreciate it. This was a blast. Really looking forward to this card. Follow me on Twitter at Pepe_Sylvia716. Follow Fight Numbers, join the team, and let's have a good weekend, boys.
Good luck this weekend, Pepe.
Later, Hooker.
All right. Lou, what's your leg?
Can it be soccer? No, I'm just kidding.
I already know who you'd give out for
Yeah.
soccer.
Phil Tits Gisborne Camp. Let's go. Yeah, I'm looking at my sheet right now, and all I'm seeing is soccer. Yeah, Bo Nickel money line. I think.
Yes, I think he wins too, dude. I think he wins.
I'm looking at because I want to put some plus money in this, and the two that I like at the price the most for what I think the odds should be are Jim Miller, and the Calvin Kattar under. I'm going to give out the Calvin Kattar under 2.5 at plus 175. Again, as we've described on the show, I just think both of them have a win condition where they look like minus 400 or more, and they're winning by either KO or backpack sub, respectively. So,
all right, Weezy,
parlay that with Gisborne Camp at plus 250.
I love those, Lou.
All right. So I was looking at a couple of different things here. I was looking at the under 2.5 rounds for Rakic Prochazka, but you know what? Even better than that, let's just go Jerry. The Jerry money line. I mean, this guy, come on, man. I mean, even if Rakic takes him down, he's going to get back up, and I think he's going to land the bigger shots. I think he's going to be more aggressive. I think the optics are going to be way better on Jerry than they are on Alexander, and I don't think Rakic is getting him out of there. If you can't finish Anthony Smith, you're going to have a hard time finishing an actual samurai from the Czech Republic, from the forests of the Czech Republic, Tyler. Don't shake your head, God damn it. But yeah, let's just go to the Jerry Prochazka money line here and put that in the parlay as well. We're going to get some fat numbers on this one.
I'm going to have to do a parlay calculator. All right, Tyler.
So in hopes that we can give Pepe the Hill money line, I won't take that one because I don't want it to be. I don't want him to take the Harrison one because I want this parlay to hit. So in hopes that I can give him that, I want to take Jim Miller KO. So Lou, thank you for taking the under because I want to take Jim Miller KO as my pick.
Yes.
Jim Miller KO.
Let's go, dude. Let's go.
Do it. Probably
This
in
is
round
going to be
two.
a wealth builder here.
All right, let's
Round
see.
two
Okay.
system play.
So before I pick my leg, so far we have Hill money line. We'll do that for Pepe. Wheezy likes Jury. Let's see what we got. We got best average line seems to be minus 105, so we'll go with that.
Okay.
Minus
Can't get him at plus money anymore, huh?
No.
If there's no plus money, I looked.
Yep, it's gone. All right. Kattar Sterling under. Let's see what we got. Under 2.5, right, Lou?
Yes,
That's
sir,
what
yes,
he
sir.
said. Yeah.
All right. Seems like the average is around plus 170. So let's go with that. And then Tyler, you said Miller KO.
Yes, sir.
All right. Miller KO. What do we got? Plus 375, plus 475, plus 500, plus 400. I don't know. Let's call it plus 400, I guess.
Yeah. At that price, man, we're going to be making some money. If
All
this
right.
hits.
And then for me, let's
Bo Nickel. Dude, I like Nickel. Dude, let's go, man. Let's get that nickel in there.
I was
better. Brundage ITD.
I was going to be a little more
Brady to be like hot take. I think Bo Nickel wins this week.
I was going to be a little safer and play Armin, but now I feel like a weenie if I do that. So you know what? We're going to do Sadiq Yusuf. That's what we're going to do. And that's plus 120.
There you go.
So let's
I like
see.
that better than the Armin side.
All right. That's good. So let's see. That comes out to plus 12,077.
Now that's a parlay I can get behind.
That's a nice round robin, too, if you want to mitigate some risk. That's not a bad little round robin there. You could hit 3 of them and probably break even.
Dude, that's a pretty damn good parlay. I'm not going to lie.
120 to 1?
Yeah.
I get out of bed for 120 to 1.
I do too, man. I'm putting that together on Bet Rivers right now.
Oh, yeah, because it's because of Tyler's bet. That's why. Okay.
You guys want to know the last 120 to 1 bet I made? Because I know exactly what it was because I thought it was a mistake line. It didn't hit. Dontel Mays round 3 submission against Hamdi was 120 to 1.
Everybody Hamdi was winning that fight.
Because I'm like,
He's the only one.
I don't think Mays gets a sub, but it's 121. And then we got to round 3. My buddy's like, I think your bet's dead. And I'm like, I mean, we're in round 3, so it's not dead yet. And then it was dead 5 seconds after the round started. I was like, all right.
I told everyone that you won that one.
I'm putting this together right now on Bet Rivers here. So I got Jamal Hill's money line is in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Jerry Prochazka's money line, and there's one other money line, right?
Yusuf.
Okay. 117. Yeah, I got plus 16,210.
Oh my
$100 wins 16,210 on this one.
Are you gonna put $100 on it? Because that'd be wild.
No, I'm not putting $100 on it.
I'm gonna throw a tenner. I'm gonna throw a tenner on that.
you throw jizz in there, and it's like it's gonna be plus 45,000.
Lou, explain to the people how you've been making an unnecessary amount of money on 2 hilariously named soccer players, because most people don't get it.
So as a professional capper like you, I bet on whose names are funny. And there's 3 funny names in soccer. There's Phil Tits on Augsburg in Germany. There's Jizz Hornkamp on Heracles in the Netherlands. And there's Brazier, who literally plays for the team named Brest in the French league. Yeah, he's a defender. So I'm not trying to prop bet this guy. But the Jizz Tits parlay hit 2 out of 3 weeks at like 17 to 1 the one week and like 14 to 1 the next. And I'm like, I mean, why wouldn't I just? And now the books finally caught on because Jim Hornkamp takes penalties. So now he's like 2 to 1. And I'm like, I'm still betting it, but I'm not as happy.
Lou DMs me this stuff, and it was a joke for the longest time, but he literally cashes this stuff. That's why it's so.
I mean, I wonder if they look. There's like, why is there one random American just winning money on this bet? Does he know him? Like, what's going on?
It's so good, bro.
And if they knew how blatantly immature I was about it, they'd be like, we're never putting odds again. I'd be like, yes. I'm like texting I'd be at the bar and I'm texting my girlfriend. I'm like, oh my God, Jizz scored. She's like, that's neat. That's great.
But all right, guys, before we wrap up, this is the parlay for anybody who missed it. I picked Yusuf money line. Tyler picked Miller KO. Pepe went with Hill money line. Wheezy Jiri money line, and Lou Cater Sterling under 2.5. On the parlay calculator with the average odds, it was plus 12,000. Wheezy though said he got plus 16,000. So depending on your book, you can get even better odds. I'm riding with it. Let's have a good time. And yeah, guys, so we still have 145 people in the chat watching. Thank you all for tuning in. I know there's a lot of stuff going on tonight, so really appreciate you tuning in. Thank you to all our guests. Thank you to my co-host, Tyler. And I'm going to pass around the mic, let everybody plug themselves, and then we're going to get the hell on out of here. So, Lou, tell the people where to find you, what you got going on.
Well, if this wasn't enough for you and you're still awake, I'll be talking about the exact same shit in 20 minutes on the MMA Engine, DFS and betting breakdown with Monk, and a rare special guest appearance from our buddy Luke Lamp, a.k.a. Sparring with Reality. Really cool that he's taking time to do the pod. He immediately regrets it. I know he does. And I will make him he's one of the best dudes in the space, one of the nicest guys. Really excited to break the fights down. I'm going to give the opposite picks on the happy hour so that I'm at least right on one of these pods this week. Guaranteed to solidify a good week with Twitch Brian. And that's it. Follow my scribe, my administrative assistant at the desk of Lou Betcha. He'll take care of everything.
And he's going to be paid for by the parlay.
Plausible deniability.
Wheezy, thank you for coming on, brother. What you got going on this week?
Yeah, so I mean, like, I'm pretty much done for the week. I'll do a greasy 4-leg parlay on my channel, Uncle Wheezy, tomorrow. I'll be on the Golden Octagon's channel tomorrow as well, breaking down these fights for a post weigh-in show. And then on Saturday, I'll be on Brady's channel, DFS by the Numbers, breaking down best bet. and Pub Sports Radio every week, 3 different times. Watch along on Saturday, DFS show on Wednesday, Stat Diggers on Sunday. No Stat Diggers this Sunday because we got a week off after 12 straight weeks of UFC action. So looking forward to the week off next week, but these fights are phenomenal. I'm looking forward to stacking cash tickets like flapjacks on these fights, and hope you guys all have a good time watching them as well. Thanks for having me on, Mike. Good to break down these fights with you guys.
Hell yeah. Thanks for coming on, Wheezy. Tyler, my co-host, tell the people what you got going on, where to find you.
Well, first thing I want to say is that unlike Wheezy, I'm actually devastated by this week off next week. I mean, we got PFL next week, I believe. So that's something, but like, man, I hate weeks off. They really hurt my soul. This is like, I look forward to this every Saturday. Like, you know, I need to watch violence in my life, and MMA is where you know, where I can find that. So I'm sad about it, but it is what it is. I will be breaking down PFL again next week. If you missed it last night, I was here in this same gym in front of the same camera with Effie from Any Action Sportscast breaking down the PFL regular season 2 or Dux for the fight card coming up tomorrow. It's tomorrow, right? I can't remember what day we're on. I think it's Thursday today, so tomorrow. Yeah, so we're breaking down that card. We already did that. You can watch it on the channel. It was a good time. Effie's good people, so you know it's fun to do that with him. We're gonna be doing it next week. I don't have a guest yet, so if you happen to be watching this and you want to be a guest, let me know. I would love to have somebody come on and chat PFL with me. Otherwise, I'll do it myself. I'm not afraid to do it myself. You know what I mean? So sometimes you just gotta. But the point is, we're gonna be talking PFL next week. Go to my channel, 138 MMA. I'm 138 MMA everywhere, but the YouTube's where I get paid for ads. So watch stuff there. That's all I got.
All right. And yeah, so for me, I went live on Tuesday with our guy, DFS by the numbers, Brady. We broke down the card from the bottom up. So if you guys need another breakdown with my face in it, that's where you can find it. If you prefer short videos, you don't like this long 2.5 hour stuff, I do my YouTube shorts. Those are already out. It's 1 minute breakdown or less for every single fight on the card. Already put that out as well. And tomorrow, maybe, I still have to flesh out the details with my guy Propaholic. We've been trying to bring back Prop Talk for about 4 months now, so maybe it'll finally be back tomorrow. I think we're hoping for 4:30, 5 o'clock, but I got to check with him. I got to make sure, so that'll be out on my Twitter if we're doing it. It's just we do a breakdown, but we talk only about props. Propaholic loves that stuff. He's good at it, and I like my props too. So you can check that out, and that's going to be it for me this week. I don't have any PFL breakdowns. Didn't have the time. I do have 2 PFL bets up on the Beer Money Picks Discord. That's where all my plays are now. You can find that link in the description of this video. I'll put that up, and it's in my link tree on my YouTube bio and my Twitter bio. Couch Warrior Pod will get you 25% off. You get my bets for MMA, and then you also get a bunch of other guys who do soccer, football, baseball, basketball. We got darts, hockey, tennis, all that good stuff. Make sure to check that out. That's where you can find my bets. And yeah, that's it, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. Good luck this weekend, and peace out.